Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods 97.3. The Fan. Happy Tuesday to you. I'm Woodsy. That is Paul Reindl on my right. Benjamin Higgins, your Secretary of Homeland Exploration, is also here. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning.
Happy Tuesday.
It is a happy Tuesday. It was a very quiet Monday.
Yeah, it was weird.
Really, really silent. There was a good college baseball. Well, it wasn't even a good game.
No.
There was what was an
horrific.
important college baseball game. Other than that, very quiet day in sports.
Game was fun for about 13 minutes, and then it was not at all, especially if you took Florida.
Those are weird days at the television station because I would make sense. Like, hey, huge busy day. Hey, let's give you like 4 or 5 minutes to go through all the sports. Nothing going on. Yeah, we just don't need you. We'll skip you that day. No, it's this. I get my 2 minutes no matter what. So either I'm cramming way too much or I'm just filling time with no news at all. And yesterday, especially at the 6 o'clock when the college baseball game was just in progress, I honestly had nothing. And if you ever want to, curious about how the sausage is made in television sports, at least at my station, I really just have free reign to do whatever I want. I got to figure out something to talk about for 2 minutes. And I sat there for a good 45 minutes to an hour at my desk yesterday.
Staring at a blank screen.
What to report on today? Because, there's nothing urgently, breaking news in San Diego. There's nothing big happening that I have to include. So what will I talk about? And
Trent Grisham and Jake Cronenworth were spotted at the Pittsburgh Zoo on
their
off day.
There was no news.
Is that true?
So
I don't know.
Sounds right.
I just have to come up with something, essentially. Just fill the time.
What are you doing in Pittsburgh?
I've never been to Pittsburgh. Have you been to Pittsburgh, Woods?
I can't remember. I really can't.
If you've been to Pittsburgh.
I've been up and down the coast, the East Coast. I don't know.
It's not on the coast, so.
But like the East Coast.
Yeah. It's not, but it's not. It's well inland. I mean, it's almost to Ohio.
Okay, then no.
Pittsburgh's way on the western part of Pennsylvania.
I've been to Philly.
Philly, yes.
I've been to Philadelphia. I've never been to Pittsburgh. I really would. I've been
Pittsburgh's tough because I really want to go to PNC Park.
Well, yeah, but then you have to go to Pittsburgh.
Well, I would love to go to PNC Park.
But
can we go for a day?
I don't know that I'll ever find myself in Pittsburgh.
I hear the guys who go there say,
"Oh, amazing!
It's an underrated. Maybe not like amazing. It's not New York or Chicago with such great restaurants and everything, but." They all seem to like going to Pittsburgh. It's a place that they enjoy visiting. So I don't know. Maybe it's a road trip you look forward to.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
I would like to go to the ballpark. That's really about it. I've been through Pennsylvania though. I know I've driven through Pennsylvania.
How far of a drive is Pittsburgh from Philly? Can you stay in Philly and just drive to Pittsburgh?
Maybe. I don't know much. I just know that we did a lot of family trips back then, and I know I've been through Pennsylvania. I don't think we hit Pittsburgh at all, though. I never traveled there for work or anything like that. But
5-hour drive.
5-hour drive, pass. I'll just stay in Pittsburgh. Right, and just go to the game. And
they have those Primanti Brothers sandwiches in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's all
kind of like their version of our California burrito, where they have an Italian sub, but they put French fries in it. And I must say, I'd be willing to try that.
Chad says it's the best skyline in baseball. It's a damn good one. It is really damn good, and you'll see it tonight. It'll, hopefully the weather's nice. It does. Usually, like, hey, you're showing off a little bit there, Pittsburgh, right by the Three Rivers. Anytime there's water around a stadium, immediately bumps it up.
The bridge from the city right across into the stadium.
When I went to Kansas City, I mean, I loved their ballpark, and because they have that big fountain out there, and I walked all the way around and stood right by the fountain, and I went, God, it's the one thing Petco Park is missing. I'm a sucker from water.
Well, I'm a sucker for a gimmicky feature.
100%.
But Petco Park has one of the great gimmicky features in all of baseball.
The Jack in the Box head.
A building as the left field foul pole.
Badass.
It's so cool.
Western Metal's badass. Now, all you need is to have a waterfall going over it, and now we're talking. People stand, they get drenched, the water flows down. That's something I'd be on board.
We're so used to it now, but I
remember in Arizona.
I remember when they announced the design of Petco Park, and they said, "All right, we're going to keep this old factory building in the gas lamp quarter, and we're going to use that corner of the building as the fair foul pole down the left field line. I immediately, of course, thought, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in a ballpark. And now we take it for granted 20 years later, the ballpark's going to celebrate its 20th anniversary, and it's just there. It's the Western Metal Supply Company. But come on, that was
Incredible.
That was such a cool design feature when they opened Petco Park.
Yeah, it's a great ballpark. This one you hear a lot that it rivals some of the greats in baseball. So yeah, Padres in Pittsburgh to take on the Pirates. We'll talk about that. We'll talk to Jesse Agler today. He's in Pittsburgh. We'll ask him, what do you do? Because he has some sneaky trips that he likes. I think he likes going to Milwaukee a lot. There's some trips you definitely look forward to, and probably some that you don't. That's a long flight, man. Long flight after
Cincinnati, the second part of this trip, I don't think is one that is particularly favored among baseball people.
It's another ballpark I don't think I'll ever go to.
Yeah, I've been to Cincinnati. I never went to the ballpark. Been to Cincinnati before, though. Nothing.
Been to the football stadium, seen the ballpark, but no.
Nothing super special. Much like the start to this program today. We are Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. How was everyone's day? I texted you guys a picture of what I did yesterday. Got my oil changed, which is always an experience, always for me. And got out of there. I was happy. I got out of there under $250. So you know that's good.
And $50
yeah.
for something that at least some people who have automotive know-how, they can go to, an auto parts store, buy a quart of motor oil and just slide under, and in about 10 minutes, change it themselves, probably for less than like $10 total in and out.
Yeah.
But instead, us, who can't do sort of things with our car and our hands, Woods pays $200. I think I try to get out of there for 60 for an oil
if
change.
It's more than $75, I feel like I'm getting screwed over.
A little more reasonable. Now, obviously,
how many damn filters do I need, buddy?
So
were you in the Lamborghini, or what were you changing? Because those exotic cars, they do charge more for regular services like that.
It's not exotic. I got the full synthetic oil change. That was $105.99. Did the hazardous waste fee, of course, for $1.99. Then the extra oil charge, $20.78, and then
extra oil.
Yeah, they needed a little extra. Then, of course,
an oil guzzler over there.
I had to get my rear differential fluid replaced. Obviously, it was time to get the rear differential fluid replaced, and that was $89.99.
Was it a little cloudy? They said, and they needed to replace the rear differential fluid.
Can I stab somebody in our chat already? Is there like a virtual stab that I can do, Paulie?
Maybe.
Can you input some feature into our chat where I can virtually stab CBS 121, who's just on this like methed out tear? Here's his responses so far. This season, we're all talking, we're getting loose. This is foreplay, bud. This is when we get loosened up. We have 3 hours and 51 minutes to talk about how bad the Padres are. This season is a disaster. Padres got paid and don't care. Bogart signing with the death nail in this franchise. Will lose 2 of 3. I think he meant wheel. Padres are cooked. Xander contract will go down as a worse contract than Hosmer. Fire Preller. These dudes talking nonsense. Who cares about the ballpark? Padres suck, and I'm annoyed. I told him, try some brewed decaf. And then he says, I care about hearing about the Padres winning or what they can do to win, not this crap. Fire Preller, Fire Preller, Fire Preller. There you go.
Sounds like he wants to fire Preller.
Your buddy, we'll be on this topic, man. Don't worry about it.
I got a lineup idea that I'm going to share later for Bob Melvin.
Oh, no.
Let me just call him up.
You had some trade ideas yesterday.
We had a lineup idea last week. We said Ha-Sung Kim should bat leadoff, and then he did. And
we lost 2 out of 3.
He's hit 3 home runs in 4 games though since moving there.
Lost 2.
I got a new lineup idea for Bob Melvin.
Okay, can't wait for it. So CBS, we're gonna get there.
All right, let's go back to your oil change cost. So differential fluid.
Yeah, to get that done.
We're skeptical about whether it actually exists or not, or if that's just a made up thing they use to charge you.
You tell me. You don't know.
According to the web, differential oil, sometimes referred to as gear oil,
yes,
It's the oil that instead of performing under high temperature, performs under high pressure,
Okay.
like in the gears and bearings and
So the
the
Padres need
rack
to
and pinion.
the Padres need to replace their rear differential oil because they are horrendous under pressure.
Yes, they are.
I mean, sixth inning and beyond, like they've won 3 games out of whatever. Anytime there's a clutch or crunch situation, it's pretty easy. Throw them on the rack, load them up with rear differential fluid, and we'll get it done. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you look at the series, I saw the guys that the Pirates are running out there, and I'm like, all right, dummy. You have to beat Rich Hill tonight. Rich Hill, 76 years old, throws 48 miles an hour, tops out. Big Dick Mountain is one of the best nicknames in professional sports. Rich Hill, Dick Mountain. Rich.
I get it. Richard.
Dick,
Yeah.
Mountain or Hill Mountain. Dick Mountain.
Yes.
Phenomenal nickname. Still, take that nickname and shove it down his throat. Okay. You have to beat Rich Hill tonight. The pressure is massively on the Padres because you cannot go out and lose to Rich Hill.
Well, you can't sweep the series unless you win the first game.
No kidding. Then you've got a couple of other spares that they're throwing out. I mean, this is a team that's circling the drain.
Blake Snell against Mitch Keller. Joe
Keller.
Musgrove against Luis Ortiz. It's there for the taking for the Padres.
It
but
absolutely
we've
is
said
there.
that a half dozen times at least
So
this
many
year,
times.
and never comes to fruition.
So the pressure's on.
The pressure is on.
It's like it's not. You need to go 1-0 certainly, but my God, do you need these 3 games? I mean, you need these three games as bad as you've needed 3 games.
So
all
hopefully
season.
the clubhouse is stocked with differential fluid.
rear
Differential fluid. So that was what cost? You haven't finished.
$89.99.
That was another
Yeah.
big cost.
Yeah. So 231 got out of there. Feel pretty good. Yeah, car's running like a top, like a drain.
Which it probably was before you took it in as well,
Yeah.
but a light went on.
Yeah.
Right?
No, they told me it's
Yeah.
time to do it.
Yeah,
We can do
you
that
get
right here for you.
You have to really believe the car and the people when they say it's time. You believe them that it's time.
I mean, they're the experts. You know, if they were asking me how to broadcast or something, I'd give them tips.
We're
tell them
the
right thing to
experts in
do.
radio, correct? If,
I mean,
if they're
I've-
the experts in oil changes.
I got 10,000 hours under my
All
belt.
right. So tier ones, just follow our expert advice. Every morning at 6, the light goes on, and you have to turn on Ben and Woods for 4 hours, or everything is going to break down. But if you do, you're good to go. That's like your regular routine maintenance of listening to Ben and Woods for 4 hours. Just have that service warning light set for every morning at 6 a.m. Join us, and you'll be in good shape. And you know how much we charge for 4 hours? I mean, considering Woodsy was probably there for an hour and spent $230, we should charge about $1,000 for this show per day.
But we don't.
We don't charge a dime. We charge nothing for this show every single day. That's the best deal you've got going right now in San Diego. Ben and Woods, 5 times a week, 4 hours a day, $0.00.
I hated this foreplay like I hate cancer. This was my least favorite foreplay we've ever done. Just FYI. So let's go to break. Maybe we can salvage the rest of the 345 we got coming up. Actually, I'm very excited about I'm excited about both of our guests today. We have a healer on. He's an energy healer. I need him today. My energy is way off.
Yeah.
Herman Patrick's going to join.
Perfect day.
Herman Petrick is going to join the show at 7:35. You don't buy in on this.
You know I don't.
Ben is not bought in,
You know I don't.
and that bums me out. But I want you to push back. That's what we need you for. Okay?
We'll explain a little bit more coming up about Herman Petrick or Petrick, the energy healer who will
Okay.
join us.
Take that poor play tier ones out of your head. Poop it out. Vomit it out. Whatever you need to do. It'll never happen again. I'm sorry.
All right,
I love you guys.
we got a sad song daily ditty. I got the choice coming up next. And then we will see if we can make the next 345 better than the first 15
There's nowhere to go but up.
with Ben and Woods. We even have a under the weather traffic reporter still. Kelly's still out today. So we got Vicky Pepper checking traffic. And then we're back here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Oh man. This will do it.
Paulie's theme, songs that make you sad, like the Padres. You know, I never
I'd say you nailed it.
miss
Yeah.
an opportunity to choose Fleetwood Mac on a daily ditty.
It's like the one band that you love.
And we haven't played Landslide yet, so why not? If the mood is sadness,
It's probably the most universally liked band on this show.
Yeah.
Right? We could
think
like
everyone
all
can
three of
agree.
us love Fleetwood Mac.
I like them.
There
for
are
their-
bands that me and Woods like. There are bands that Ben and Woods like that you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's just music that only Ben likes.
and even there's even some stuff that me and Paul like that Woods doesn't like.
Yeah.
But
Wait till
Fleetwood
I,
Mac we can all kind of agree on.
Wait till I introduce you guys to the Viagra Boys, and we can save that for another day. I think I have found Ben's theme song, and it's by a band called the Viagra Boys. They are a Swedish punk band, and this song popped up on my Spotify. And we'll play it today at some point. You're gonna die. You know what it's called? It's called Sports.
All right.
Okay.
I mean, I enjoyed that Huey Lewis album, Sports. So far, so good.
Yeah.
Woods.
It is. It's called Sports, and it's maybe the greatest song I've ever heard, and maybe could be a new show open for us if we're ever in the market for a new show open. Because again, it's called Sports by the Viagra Boys. I digress.
Can we briefly review how bad Foreplay was?
It was terrible.
It was probably the worst foreplay ever. I made a couple of notes here. So you started by introducing me. I started telling a story about how I had nothing to talk about
Right.
last night at Channel 10, but never finished it because we got sidetracked by talking about Pittsburgh, a city that none of us has ever been to.
That's just bad, right?
I had questions about your newscast.
And yes, but we never got to those. And then the conversation about Pittsburgh kind of trailed off, so you could start talking about
oil
getting
change.
your oil changed. But in the middle of that, you got distracted by someone on the chat who was mad about the direction of Foreplay
and the Padres.
and the Padres, and you just went off on him on the chat.
Right.
And then we finished up, I thought, with the strongest element when you connected the differential oil to the Padres failing to perform under pressure, and maybe they needed to change the differential oil.
It's not our.
It was a really bad
It's not,
Foreplay
it's
segment.
not our best work. I'm sorry. I don't feel great. I'm tired. I feel a little bit out of sorts when the Padres don't play. I felt the same way last night. I was walking around my house, I had all this energy and nowhere to put it. And my mother-in-law had my kids. Hannah was like buying stuff online. And I don't want to do that. So I would watch a little bit of that College World Series game, and it was horrible. It was horrible. It was horrific. So then I put on MLB Network, and it was the Braves taking on somebody, and I'm watching going, I'm like falling. It was Spencer Strider was pitching, so that was fun to watch, a team have a guy that they can bring up through their minor league system and come out and dominate. That's a new one. That's a new one for me. So that was cool to see. And after that, I mean, the kids got home, put them to bed, and I watched friggin' Silo and went to sleep. And I woke up at 3:00 this morning. I was here by 4. It was terrible. It's a terrible start to the day.
And then during the break, we started arguing about the guest we're going to have on at 7:35 this morning.
Your response when Paul sent it over yesterday was 2 words. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
And it wasn't, hey, what do you guys think about this? It was, hey, this is happening.
Yeah,
just
this is
by
happening.
the way.
And Ben says, oh, Lord. And I said, lean in was my 2-word response.
No problem with that, Woodsy.
So you're going to lean into it.
I'm going to share my authentic takes on the energy healer. And you know what? I understand we're desperate to try to figure out anything that can save this weird, terrible season the Padres have had. Unexpected, just crazy bad record and close games and extra inning games. They're winless and extra inning games.
Winless.
Something
They are
weird
winless.
seems like it's going on.
How many runs have we scored in extra innings?
One.
One run.
And what makes it even more disturbing is quotes after Sunday's loss from guys like Nelson Cruz. So what Nelson Cruz has been around as long as just about anybody in baseball. He's 42 years old. He's been on, 6, 7 teams over the course of his career. He's seen different clubhouses. He's had good seasons. He's had bad seasons. If anyone, has the experience to deal with something like this, it would be Nelson Cruz. And when pointedly asked, what's going on, what's wrong with the Padres, all he could go was, I don't know.
It's amazing.
I don't know. We got no idea. That is to a man the answer you get from everybody in that clubhouse.
I don't know.
I don't know what's going on with us.
That skeeves me out. That skeeves me out. It does. It makes me, because it gets your brain, firing of like, are there fissures? Are people really not getting along? Are
Well,
people?
then say that.
I don't think you want to put that stuff out there if you're a player. The clubhouse is supposed to be kind of a sacred place, right?
Yeah, sanctuary.
It's a sanctuary, much like the radio studio.
Yeah, but if it's a bad clubhouse, that gets out very quickly.
Well, it
That
got
gets-
out. It got out a month ago in Kevin AC's article. It got out.
But I haven't heard anything different or new lately that, things are falling up or deteriorating even more.
It's just, and again, and then you go back and you go that circle of logic in your head and you go, all right, I've heard these two guys don't like each other. Then you see one of them hit a home run. You see the other guy give him a big old bear hug and grab his ass. You're like, okay, that report was wrong. Then you see,
I mean, they're the greatest actors ever. If they all hate
100%.
each other, they're the greatest actors ever when they're actually on the field and doing well.
And also, what does it matter if they hate each other? They could absolutely loathe each other and still be average hitters.
Pretty sure they all understand that for their individual careers, even the guys who've already got paid, it's still good to perform well at the plate.
Oh, they know it.
That
They know it.
You know what? I just don't get along with my teammates. I'm going to show it by failing to get hits with runners in scoring position this year.
Hey, thanks for the cash. I'm going to stop hitting now.
That makes no sense either.
It doesn't.
That's what you get from everybody. I don't know. Doesn't make sense. We should be better than this. We don't know why. Can't put my finger on anything in particular as to what it is different about this team. Yeah, I mean, we talked yesterday about the evidence. Well, you can't hit fastballs, but they always could before. Fastballs didn't get different this year. The fastballs have not evolved from 2022 to 2023 into some completely different pitch. They're still the straight one that goes fast.
It goes hard.
And
down
they
the middle.
all could hit it for the most part in their careers until this year.
Tatis said it the other day. He goes, we got beat by fastballs. That's unacceptable. And it is, man. It is.
You don't get to the big leagues unless you can essentially hit a fastball. Now, yeah, there's some
100%.
nasty 101 cutting fastballs that no one can hit, that are when they're thrown correctly, it's impossible. Wasn't what Mackenzie Gore was throwing. Throwing straight fastballs
Straight
down the
heat.
middle at 96.
Straight heat.
Every single one of those guys, even Ha-Seong Kim, who's not great against the fastball, even they can all hit that pitch.
Yep.
And yet they're all missing it.
And they don't know. They
don't
don't know.
know
They
why.
don't know why. They don't know why. It's
Which is why we are going to mysticism to try to
Correct.
fix the Padres today.
correct.
Yet I feel like the two of you act like it's more medical science than mysticism.
I just have an open mind with these things. My mind is open. I'm a big believer in therapy. You're not. I'm a big
No
believer.
ideas are bad ideas. At this
No
point.
ideas are bad ideas. I'm a big believer in cleansing the aura. Getting meditating, breathing. I have a breathing app that I use quite a bit.
Well, I certainly believe in breathing as I do it every single day, Woods. So we can agree there. Breathing is important in
imperative.
life.
It's imperative.
It is very important. We'll talk to his name is what? Herman Petrick?
Yes.
Petrick?
Patrick.
I have no idea. I've seen it pronounced both ways. He is an energy healer. He is going to attempt to fix the San Diego Padres.
Maybe yours. Maybe your.
On the airwaves.
Maybe
Is it
your
my-
energy
is it
is the
my
one
energy that's
fix.
bad?
Sick of this.
He's not going to. I mean, I don't know. We'll talk to him.
Yeah, we'll
in
talk
an
to him.
hour. I don't know that he's going to heal the Padres. I think he's going to heal our energy as Padres fans
And all the fan base. Just do what he says.
who are we're all just dying right now.
I mean, people are like ready to eat each other at this point. They're ready to rip faces off.
We took no phone calls yesterday. Not a one, I don't think.
Mm-mm.
We will give you that opportunity today. In fact, if you want to start right now and you want to talk about the Padres or anything else, Our phone screener, his name is Jack, is standing by 833-288-0973. You get past Jack, you get on the air, we talk to you. I've got my my lineup suggestion for Bob Melvin. Hey, it can't hurt any more than an energy healer at this point. We'll talk about that coming up.
How dare you?
Before we do that, though, let's give away some more Legion tickets. We're going to give away a pair of tickets to see the SD Legion in the Major League Rugby Western Conference Finals at Snapdragon Stadium coming up on July 2nd. That's this Sunday. Tickets are on sale at sdlegion.com, but be the third caller right now at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Get you a pair of tickets to see the Legion against the Seattle Seawolves in the MLR Western Conference Finals. And then we'll be back with more Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on the Fan is brought to you by South Norte Tequila Cocktails. Savor South Norte Mexican-inspired premium tequila cocktails made with real tequila and real juice. Sip on a classic margarita, an authentic Paloma, or crack open a Matador or the Mexican Mule. Pick yours up at Stater Brothers, Ralph's, Costco, and more. Congratulations to Mary, won the Legion tickets and leaves our phone lines open now for you. If you want to talk Padres baseball, energy healers, or anything else, 833-288-0973.
You really screwed your kid out there.
I did.
Jack
did.
Higgins
Oh my
is
God.
screening phones for us. And Ben said, well, call now if you want to talk Padres, and also call if you want Legion tickets. So Jack's out there.
Or if you'd like to pre-order lunch, you can do that as well right now at 833-288-0973.
Jack's out there drinking from the fire hose. His
And,
man,
I
his
know how that
manager-
goes. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, Ben, oh God,
His,
no.
his man, his guy's making his major league. He's been up with the club for a few days. He hasn't gotten in a game yet. And his manager's like, what do we got? Bases loaded, nobody up. Come on out, Higgins. All you, bud.
Some radio stations have different numbers for the contest versus the
They
call-in
do?
line. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
yeah.
that.
When I started as a phone screener, we had the contest lines.
Ooh, I didn't know
and
that.
then we had the call-in lines, and never the twain should meet.
Sure.
So you could see, okay, they're calling in
Makes
for the
sense.
contest. They're calling in because they want to talk about the Anaheim Ducks with Hacksaw, and you could juggle the phone calls, either way you wanted to go.
That's amazing. Adam, can we do that? I just had to ask. It's funny because it's funny. It makes me laugh.
Quickly, congratulations. Jackson Merrill, Padres' top prospect, was named to the Futures roster for the National League, the All-Star
Saw
Futures
that.
game. July 8th at T-Mobile Park in Seattle ahead of the All-Star game, which will also be in Seattle. Only member of the Padres select, although it's usually kind of a top prospect sort of deal. He's currently ranked number 12 in all of prospects in baseball by MLB Pipeline. That's the MLB.com or kind of ranking service. He's not killing it. He's hot. He's been hot lately. He's playing for the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. I think he's hitting like 277 with 8 home runs. Still a younger prospect though for the high single A level where he's playing. So they still think he's definitely one of the more promising prospects in baseball. Question would be, still playing shortstop, where would he eventually graduate to if he does come to the Padres in the next 2 to 3 years? Because shortstop seems to be quite taken at the moment with Xander Bogaerts. You still have Fernando Tatis Jr., who's moved to the outfield but can play shortstop. You got Ha-Seong Kim, who can play shortstop. You got Jay Cronenworth, who can play shortstop. And now you've got Jackson Merrill training to be a shortstop as your top prospect in the minor leagues. Does that tell you that he's trade bait right now? The fact they haven't moved him to a different position with the idea, let's get him ready for something else.
No,
so he can be a Padre in the future.
The fact that he's a Padres prospect tells me that he's trade bait. That's pretty much the only. That's really the only category you need. Are you a Padres prospect? You are. All right, you're trade bait.
Don't get too comfortable.
Don't get too comfortable. Yeah, learn the position and have a ball and
We need you to get comfortable to be good, but don't get too comfortable.
welcome to the Orioles. I would like to see some of these guys graduate to the big club and have success. Certainly. I was just making a joke about Spencer Strider a couple minutes ago. That would be awesome to see. But again, there would definitely need to be a position change, I would imagine. But yeah, you got some other. I think there's 3 Padres prospects playing in it, but only one of them are still on the Padres. So James Wood is a guy we'll see down at the
Nationals
Futures game.
now?
Yep, one of the Nationals prospects traded for Juan Soto. And there was one other one. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. Local kid, Marcelo Mayer, is going to be down there. He's a
Boston
Red
Red Sox
Yeah,
has been doing well in the minors.
good
Yep.
kid, and I would love to see him make the big show here in the next couple of years. He's got all the tools and a really good kid too. So yeah, there's a lot of local ties there. The number one prospect in baseball
Right now,
Matt Holliday's kid.
Jackson Holiday. Yeah.
Yeah, number one.
What was Ellie De La Cruz before they brought him up? Because
like 4 or
I think
something.
that seems
My
underrated
God.
now based on what he's done in the big league so far.
Scared to death of facing that guy next week, man.
The number 4 prospect looks like the number 1 player in Major League Baseball through the first 2 weeks of his career. So must be some really good prospects down in the minor leagues right now. If he was just number 4 when they brought him up.
Yeah, it's
Good
I like.
news is they play the Reds this
Yeah,
weekend.
I'm terrified.
And
Then again, they've lost 3 in a row after winning 12 straight.
Yeah,
Who knows? It's baseball. It
we
makes
got
no
a-
sense.
we got a couple holidays coming up next week, and then we can talk about the Angels. We don't even have to talk about the
well, yeah,
Reds.
if it doesn't go well, we
Right.
won't
If
really
it goes
have
well,
fun.
we'll talk about it.
All right, we got some.
Ellie De La Cruz weekend, then
We got some callers on the line, 833-288-0973. We get to those, and I will give you my now much anticipated lineup suggestion for Bob Melvin right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
No.
From the Premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Vicky Pepper.
This report brought to you by the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. See current job opportunities at joinsdsheriff.net. Your drive out of North County is going to be super annoying this morning. Construction at Deer Springs has you on and off your brakes on the 15 south from the 76 to the 78. The San Diego County Sheriff's Department is working hard to keep San Diego safe and is now hiring. The Sheriff's Department offers rewarding careers with growth and has an opportunity for anyone with integrity that wants to make a difference. Go to joinsdsheriff.net to learn more. That's joinsdsheriff.net. I'm Vicky Pepper in for Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's try a phone call first, and then I'll give you my lineup suggestion. 833-288-0973. We got Robert on the line, wants to talk about the bond race. Good morning, Robert. Welcome to Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Buenos días, Benjamin, Pablo, Esteban.
Oh, I love that. Save that forever. So,
Taco Tuesday. Birria tacos today.
sounds good to me, man. Don't tell me twice.
Hey, real quick, man. I just wanted to point out a couple things. Xander Bogaerts, did we really need him? Did we not have a shortstop already?
We did.
Could we not take care of second base already? Could Jake Cronenworth have gone to first without getting Xander Bogaerts? And
Yes.
another thing is, we all know this one guy who's a mechanic who works on everyone's cars. But when you look at his driveway, he has this one really nice half-ass build that needs just a couple more parts. It takes him so long to get it going. But once he gets it going and once he builds it, it's a masterpiece. You know what I mean?
I love it. Like I picture like a Camaro.
Are you saying this guy can change Woods' oil for him?
No, he's saying the San Diego Padres are currently an old Camaro SS in the driveway. Paint looks good. The interior looks good. It's on blocks right
it's just
now.
it's not quite ready.
quite ready. It's on blocks. He's got some tires on back order, and once he gets them and throws them on there, this thing can
Looks
go.
like all the pieces are in there, but when you turn the engine over, it just kind of keeps sputtering,
Yeah.
and you're not quite sure why.
Yeah,
It
just
looks great in the driveway.
needs those new tires, and then this thing will start to smoke. He says it, and I know that it's true. I know that this team is capable of something. This isn't a sell job in my head. I'm not going to sell you guys if I don't believe it myself. I'm just not. I can't say with any great certainty that this team will go on that run that they keep promising. And I think I'm just damaged from 2021 and the Tingler speak, and they haven't played their baseball. Jace was not wrong. Their best baseball. He was not wrong. He was never wrong. They just never played their best baseball. He believed it. I truly believed he believed it. He had us believing, okay, man, if they can get it going, yes, this team could be dangerous. And it just never happened. So now that we've seen it not happen and we're hearing the same sort of platitudes from Bob Melvin, it's hard to let myself be sucked fully in. Now, it doesn't mean I've abandoned hope. Doesn't mean I'm apathetic. I would lost my mind without a game last night. I was like pacing the house like a tiger, like, I wish the game was on.
It's interesting you bring that up, though, because they did play their best baseball under Jace in 2020 and then never got there in 2021.
Yeah.
Last year in 2022, Padres found a way to play their best baseball at the end of the season. Went on a run to clinch a wild card spot in September and then rolled right into October and played their best baseball against the Mets and the Dodgers before losing to the Phillies. So eventually we saw their best baseball last year. And now in Bob Melvin's second season, they're once again having trouble figuring out how to play their best baseball. It's the same thing that we saw in year 2 with Jace Tingler.
Yeah, it is. I just don't know. I just don't know. I wish I did. And I do wish I see a lot of the, hey, keep the faith. I am keeping the faith because I mean, that's what I love to do. I love to watch this team play baseball, win or lose. It's just a part of who I am. So I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna cheer. But I will say, I found myself, and I saw one of my boys, Maddie. Said something. He said, "I find myself kind of not liking this team sometimes," and I went, "Yeah, I feel that too." Last year, I didn't feel that at all. I felt a massive amount of love for them. I felt a massive amount of pride for them. I felt myself really wanting to defend them at every turn. And that's been something that's been lacking this year. And I think it's just the inconsistency, the up down. Nobody loves somebody, Ben, that is that freaking inconsistent. If you're gonna be, it's like if you're gonna be inconsistent, be consistently inconsistent. Just don't toy with my emotions. And that's what they're doing. They're edging us every single day. The San Diego Padres, 10 runs, no runs. 13 runs, 1 run, and it's a hard watch. They're a hard hang this year.
Well, I will say that one of those parts that is in that car on blocks in the driveway that just is out of whack right now is Jake Cronenworth. And he's one of our favorites, so it pains me to say it, but people are writing more about, clearly his numbers have taken a steady decline and now a big drop here in 2023. That Jake Cronenworth has gone from a productive, solid player to a guy who's actually hurting the Padres in the lineup, especially playing a non-premium position like first base. That Jake's numbers are one of the issues for the Padres this season. And the fact that he has been in there every single day, I think he's only had 1 day off, maybe 2 all year long. And he's been consistently in the top half of the lineup, whether he's 2nd, 5th, 6th. He's been somewhere up there all season. I think it's time for Bob Melvin to make a change there. And while I don't think you bench Jake because you don't have any better options, my suggestion for the lineup would be this. Trent Grisham, I like what I've seen the last couple of weeks. The way he's swinging the ball. We know he's got power. He's got doubles power. He's I think 2nd on the team in doubles. Can drive in runs with that bat. I would switch Jake and Trent in the lineup now and have Trent Grisham move up to maybe 6th after Gary Sanchez or even 5th and move Jake to 9th where where I think Jake at 9th can reset his mind where he's at his best when he's kind of going the other way. Maybe feels like, hey, I just need to start setting the table for these guys who are coming up, Fernando Tatis Jr., Juan Soto, but you're not putting him first where he's going to get 5 at-bats a game either. I think having him at the bottom of the order might get Jake going, and you might actually get more, RBI production out of Trent Grisham, who seems to be swinging the bat better now. So my suggestion, and again, not the baseball expert that Bob Melvin is, I do a flip-flop with Grisham and Cronenworth in my order.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you could tell me if they shaved their heads. I'd try anything at this point. We're having a healer.
Oh, it's
at this
it's
point,
throwing stuff at the wall and hoping that it sticks at this point.
But,
I mean, I don't. If there were better suggestions out there, I would assume the Padres would have heard them, studied them, and implemented them, and tried them. This is now you're just crumpling up balls and firing him at a waste paper basket. Just maybe something will spark something with those guys. But from what I've seen, I like what I've seen from Trent Grisham recently. They need someone who can drive in runs. I think he can actually do it. Jake has not done it, man. Jake has the worst batting average on the Padres right now with runners in scoring position, clutch opportunities.
He gets a lot,
and he gets too many of them sitting there at 5th and 6th in the order behind the big guys. They need to change that, and one way they can do it is by dropping Jake in the order.
And the other problem too is you're going to have who DHs, right? I mean, who's going to be your DH? The DH really haven't done much. Matt Carpenter not done anything. Nelly Cruz has had a couple of moments, but nothing special, honestly. So
I like Odor right now against righties.
Yeah.
Until Carpenter shows that he's not in a complete, utter funk. The only thing Carpenter's done recently is a walk.
Yeah.
And until he shows that, I think Odor is your guy as your left-handed DH.
Well, I mean, it spoke volumes the other day when you had a righty on the mound and you had Nelly Cruz as your DH and Matt Carpenter sat there and got a late AB. It's just watching these guys try to struggle their way through it. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to get them jump started. Crony doesn't care where he hits. We've asked him that before. And, I said, hey, with all these new guys, do you care where he goes, bro, I used to hit 7th, 8th. I don't care. I just want to play. I'd love to see him get it going. I think he's he's a big part of it, and I really expected a big season from him.
The counter argument, of course, is Trent Grisham finally is looking a little bit better. Don't move him now where he's comfortable, but you've got to do something, I think, if you're Bob Melvin. And
well, tonight you're going to see probably as many righties as you can against Dick Mountain. He's I got to look at his splits, but just off the eye test and from what I remember about him, I don't think he's particularly tough on either righties or lefties. So who knows? Who knows what you're going to see?
We've got all guests on Ben and Woods appearing on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Jesse Ackler will join us from Pittsburgh, PA this morning. Play the Incorporator at 8:35 when we talk to the voice of the Padres. We do that every Tuesday here on Ben and Woods. But coming up in our next hour,
he's better against lefties, by the way. So
is he?
Nice stack it against righties tonight.
We will coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll kind of set it up next though. The energy healer, who's going to try to just clear the air for Padres fans. Who knows? Maybe the season. Woodsy and Paul are going to argue for it. I'm not so sure. Coming up next on the Fan. I'm worried that you have invited a guest onto our program.
Yes.
And I'm going to maybe seem insulting to that guest with my skepticism
I hope not.
later this hour.
Don't be rude.
I'm not going to be rude.
I
but
remember how rude you were to Lee Lowenfish, and I will never forgive you. for
very
that.
polite to Lee.
If you didn't, if you had just bought in, that would have been one of our better interviews.
So explain a little bit more who we're going to have on here at the bottom of the hour and why, because I certainly can't.
Guy by the name of Herman Petrick. Paulie's done the majority of the research on Herman, but Herman is an energy healer, and he's going to heal the energy.
Apparently has a thriving practice.
Yes.
If that's what you want to call it, of energy healing. I watched the video on his website yesterday about how he does his work, how he removes the bad energies that have attached themselves to you, sometimes all the way from birth. Maybe a bad energy has attached itself to the Padres. Certainly seems like they're a franchise that may have a bad energy attached to it all the way back to 1969 when the franchise was born. A bad energy attached to it.
You know, I was never a real believer in all of that, and then I married my wife, and now I've been forced to become a believer in energy, good and bad. And you feel it. You can feel it. You know when your kids come home and they have a bad energy about them, and you have to kind of walk out of the room, try to reset them. I will often walk in with bad energy around me. She is very guilty of having bad energy as well. She always says sometimes I can't get the remotes to work or like my Wi-Fi, and she's like, your energy's off, give it to me. And she fixes it. And you believe it once you see it. So I thought, hey,
are you possibly confusing bad energy with a bad mood? Because
no,
I do believe that people can be in bad moods.
Sure.
Get your chemistry's off a little bit
Yeah,
or whatever.
your
You
energy.
didn't get enough sleep.
6 of one, half dozen
You're
of the
not
other.
eating healthy. There's all kinds of reasons why you might not be in the most mentally, emotionally stable state. I just don't know that it's because a bad energy attached itself to you, like floating in the universe, latched itself onto you.
So
And then
do you believe
there's
in
someone out there who can remove it for you.
do you believe in the saying the vibes are off?
I believe that, yeah, I mean,
That's energy. That's energy. The vibes are off.
Okay.
Vibrations. That's all it is.
I don't know that it's actual vibrations that cause that
It
when
is.
vibes are off. When something doesn't feel right, I believe there's a real world, tangible reason that has been created. We may not understand what it is. I certainly acknowledge there's plenty of stuff that we don't understand. What I am skeptical of here with our guest, Herman, is how he can conduct this operation remotely. He said, I realized I have a gift, he said on his website, and that I can help people heal energy, like remove bad energies. And he can do this remotely. He doesn't have to be in the room.
He's doing
with
like
you.
an exorcism. I
Yeah.
think he's walking us through.
You're not going to
his
spit
method.
pea soup everywhere, and your head's not, as far as I know.
Sounds a little mystic to
Like,
me.
I do
Into the
therapy
mystic, you should
remotely.
go. Yeah, Paulie does therapy remotely.
All right. Well, I mean, is he a therapist then? Is he going to talk everyone
He's a
through their
healer.
problems?
The healer.
It's
Or is
therapeutic
he
in a
going
way.
to, chant some words and do some, mix some potions where he's located? And
That's why we're having him on. We will see what he has in store for us. And I feel like if you believe,
did he receive any training on this, or did he just come up with this method on his own
it's like The Shining.
without
he just
any
knew. Danny just knew.
scientific standards applying?
You like ice cream, Doc?
I
I
mean-
said that to you, and I didn't even say it. I said it through my brain. You like ice cream,
I mean,
Doc?
therapists, they receive training and
Yeah,
there's, professional certification.
sure.
You go through classes, other people who have, helped.
So I think
Has
once
this guy gone through any of that?
it's not really important to me.
It's not.
All I care about is the results. I don't really care about the process. I care about results here. And this team, this fan base, this show needs a little energy scrub.
I'm not liking Ben's energy.
His
quite
energy
frankly.
is really off
Maybe you
right
should
now.
go take a car nap
His-
at 7:35.
Your energy's off. I can feel it. You grew up in California. You should be all about this mysticism stuff. Okay?
Yet I'm not.
Maybe you will be
Never
today.
really believed in that sort of thing. But again, I will acknowledge there's a lot of stuff we don't understand,
That's exactly right.
and I will try to remain as open-minded and fair as
Thank you.
possible.
Julian says, have we vetted that he isn't a Dodger fan actually cursing us more? How could you? I mean, we're the worst hitting team with runners in school. What are you going to go worse than last? How do you get worse than last? You don't. There's no 31st team. You're 30.
Get another call in here. 833-288-0973. Brian is next up here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Brian.
Brian's got a worried mind.
Good morning, fellas. How are you?
Morning.
Good, buddy. How you doing?
How's your energy, Brian?
My energy is very good.
Good.
It's very good. Not about the Padres, but my energy is good overall. So, fellas, I'm from New York. I just moved out here 2 years ago, and I'm a long-suffering Yankees fan.
Very funny. Very funny.
Since 2009.
I can draw some direct correlations to this club right now
Okay.
in San Diego to the Yankees. The overspending, the loading up on what everybody else around the league covets as these major all-stars, and then they show up and they don't produce. Gary Sheffield comes to mind, folks like that. We keep getting sold a bill of goods by a GM that our starting pitching is fantastic. Don't worry about it. Our pen's got it covered, and we're going to outslug everybody. I think what we have here is a failure to take the Yankee model and improve upon it by A.J. Preller. And I think A.J. Preller is the problem with the Padres right now.
Brian,
That's all
I think,
got, boys.
I think
a great
you actually may have hit a nail on the head in that the Padres absolutely are trying to build a championship team the way the Yankees did in the late 1990s. You know, they had the core, and then they started adding to it with some star players and some veteran guys. A Tino Martinez comes to mind.
Scott
Additions
Brocious.
that they made from other organizations, veteran stars that did perform in that instance. They did, and then they kept trying it, and you had the Johnny Damons and the Gary Sheffields that didn't work out well.
You had the Jacoby Ellsburys of the world that were horrible. That's when it really started to spiral, and they won that World Series in 2009, almost in spite of themselves. To be honest, but the Yankees
never cared that much about their own prospects coming up.
Never.
Once they had Derek Jeter and Jorge Posada,
Bernie Williams,
and a couple of the
Rivera.
core after that, their prospects were simply trade bait and ways to acquire other veteran players. The way A.J. Preller does it, very much a Brian Cashman school of general manager is what we've seen, except he hasn't done it even as effectively as Brian Cashman did.
Cashman's got 4, I think, to his credit.
And as Brian will tell you, it wasn't all sunshine and roses for the Yankees either, especially over the last 25 years or 20 years at least. The one World Series, we take it for sure, but they've had a lot of lean, expensive years where they've underperformed in that time as well.
Yeah, good example this year, the Carlos Rodon. He's finally, I think, about to make his first start in next week. I think July 5th. I've got him stashed on my fantasy team. So that's how I know the Carlos Rodon update from last year. But yeah, man, it's you just hope. We're only 3 months into the Xander Bogaerts deal. You just hope that he can turn it around and figure it out. I do feel like he's a big key to this thing going well. I do. I feel like if he can get his wrist healthy, Ben, and just play 3/4 of the Xander Bogaerts you've been and you were in Boston, just clutch hit after clutch hit. I think that will really, really help the squad.
Need a contestant for Take on Woods here. Going to play in about a minute. So dial up now. 833-288-0973. Chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas. Last couple of days of the month here where you can win the trip to Vegas. 833-288-0973. And I don't want to equate Xander Bogaerts necessarily with, the bad overpaid signings yet that other teams have made. Xander Bogaerts has been a phenomenal baseball player in his career. He didn't like luck into a giant contract. He played great for many, many years with the Boston Red Sox. He earned his deal, and any free agent you can argue is overpaid because they hit the market. You have other teams bidding for their services. The price goes up for sure. But in terms of, talent, he's got it. Xander Bogaerts has got it.
Yep.
He's not all of a sudden being exposed for the fraud he always was. I believe that Xander Bogaerts is going to get healthy. He's going to get right. He'll be a productive player for the Padres. Will it be this year? I don't know. Will it be sometime over the course of his 11 years in San Diego? Yeah. Xander Bogaerts, I think, is going to be a star that you love here in San Diego. I still believe that. Matt Carpenter, Nelson Cruz, I don't know about those guys. Those could have been big swings and misses from A.J. Preller, looking for veteran guys who he thought, hey, if we can just squeeze one last good season out of them, they could be championship pieces. Yeah, made sense.
It did. It made sense at the time.
But Carpenter, really Cruz, for the most part, they have not been that. They have been big busts. Carpenter, a little more of an expensive one. Cruz, a cheap one. But either way, busts at the designated hitter position
no
for
question.
this team.
No question. It made so much sense on paper. Oh, you can split and platoon and everything else. And no.
All right, we got some calls coming in. Let's get to it. It is time to play. Take on Woods. All right, Jim, you there? You ready to play?
Let's go.
All right, let's go. 5 questions of musical trivia. Woods has left the studio. He doesn't hear this part. You go first, then he goes. You beat or tie him. You qualify for our monthly grand prize drawing. This month, it's a 2-night stay at Resorts World Las Vegas. 2 tickets to headliner Luke Bryan, August 30th to September 9th. Tickets and VIP packages on sale at AXS.com, Access.com, RWLasVegas.com. Your advantage is getting to pick the category. Here and are your choices. Lie, cheat, or steal. Those are songs and artists that include one of those 3 words. Talkin' Like Tingler. 5 song titles in which the first word drops the G and ing at the end. Put a little apostrophe there, like the way Jace Tingler talked. And then the last one is this category, again. And it is titles of songs that end in the word again. All right, so lie, cheat, or steal, talking like Tingler, or this category again. Which one would you like to play, Jim?
Let's go with the second one.
Talking
Tingler.
like Tingler. Okay, again, today we're featuring 5 song titles in which the first word drops the letter G at the end, like talking. So a little apostrophe instead of that G, just a little slang there. Get 60 seconds to answer as many as you can. Say pass if you don't know. We'll come back to it. There's time left. First question is the 2-second song. Paulie will play a couple of seconds of a well-known hit. You need to give me the title and the artist to score that point. We'll go on from there. Jim, are you ready?
Let's go.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock in the category Talking Like Tingler. Time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Jim. Let's take on Woods.
Ricky Martin, Living La Vida Loca.
Correct. Which Bee Gees song plays during the opening credits of the movie Saturday Night Fever?
Jive Talking.
Incorrect. Which debut single from their debut album remains one of Smash Mouth's most popular songs?
Walking on the Moon. Walking on the Sun.
Correct. Which Tom Petty hit begins with the line, "It was a beautiful day, the sun beat down"?
Running Down a Drink.
Correct. Written in 1929. Which song inspired a 1952 film featuring Gene Kelly and an umbrella?
Singing in the Rain.
Correct. That is 4 out of 5, and I'm
Well
surprised
done.
the Bee Gees. You said Jive Talk. It's Staying Alive is the Bee Gees
Ooh, is
song.
that going to be the difference?
Is that going to be? Hang on the line, Jim. 4 is a good score, and Woods doesn't know the category. You got Livin' La Vida Loca, Ricky Martin, Walking on the Sun. You said Moon, but you changed it before I could say no. I'll give you that one. Running Down a Dream and Singing in the Rain. So let's bring Woods in.
That's gonna throw Woods off the Smash Mouth one.
I think they're all. I
He's
don't
not
know if
gonna-
we can
I don't
figure
think
out
he's
this
gonna get the
category.
category at
Yeah,
that
it's a tricky one for Woods. All right, he's making his way back into the studio. Jim is back on hold. His score is locked in. Put the 60 seconds back on the clock. Reset our 2-second song. Woods doesn't get the category. Headphones on. Time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Jim.
Pass.
Which Bee Gees song plays during the opening credits of the movie Saturday Night Fever?
Night Fever.
Incorrect. Which debut single from their debut album remains one of Smash Mouth's most popular songs?
All Star.
Incorrect. Which
Ah!
Tom Petty hit begins with the line, "It was a beautiful day, the sun beat down"?
Running Down a Dream.
Correct. Written in 1929, which song inspired a 1952 film featuring Gene Kelly and an umbrella?
Say again.
Written in 1929, which song inspired a 1952
Singing
film?
in the Rain.
Correct. Go back to our 2-second song.
Is that La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin?
One more word to that title.
Livin' La Vida Loca by
Correct.
Ricky Martin.
And that is a 3 spot for Woods. And by a 3-4 score,
Oh, no!
Jim has prevailed today on
So-
Take on Woods.
Livin'.
It's Talking Like Tingler is the category. The first word of every song was drops the G.
Okay,
so
give it-
Livin' La Vida Loca.
Give me the next question.
Staying Alive.
And then it's
Walking,
walking
on the sun,
sun.
Running Down a Dream, and Singing in the Rain.
Talking like Tingler. That's genius.
Congratulations, Jim. You've not only qualified for the grand prize drawing, but you'd also won a Daily Ditty selection. Tomorrow, feel free to share that with Paulie when he gets your information during the break. The theme is sadness. If you want to stick with a theme or pick whatever you want, you've won. That's your prerogative. Congratulations. He also missed Staying Alive. I'm surprised that I thought that was the easiest one of the 5.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Was
Would I say
the-
Night Fever?
Yeah, and he said jive talking, but it's Staying Alive when they're all walking down the street and you get that Bee Gees theme going in your head on Saturday Night Fever. But anyway, good job, Jim. A winner today on Take on Woods. That leads us to Don't Do This, which is coming up next.
Eric in the chat says, Woods is like the Padres now. Win one, lose
Yeah,
one.
win one, lose one.
Unexplained. I can't really understand why.
No,
Should be
What's
winning more,
going
but he's
on?
not.
don't do this. Math is very, very,
We had some good audio yesterday.
very hard.
I like this. Maybe even, well, at least as much as yesterday's Buck Martinez audio.
This is incredible.
Really, really good.
And I will defend to the death my beloved Paige Spiranak.
Shocking.
Aztec for life.
Aztec
Shocking.
for life.
I'd actually defend her on this one as well. That's coming up next after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
It's time for Don't Do This.
What were you thinking?
3 stories from the world of sports that make us all shake our heads.
How many times do I have to tell you?
I'm sorry, I fudged up, guys.
You idiot, you moron.
The apple sometimes does fall from the tree.
Don't Do This
Do not tweet that.
with Ben and Woods
I like a Nickelback song or two.
on 97.3 The Fan.
Fun audio incoming. First, a reminder that live coverage of every Padres game on The Fan is available through the Odyssey app wherever you are in the San Diego area. Just download. It's free. Search 97.3 The Fan to get started. And to get started today on Don't Do This, here is my good friend, Stephen Woods.
Thank you, Benjamin. We've done this before. We are as guilty as the next person.
yesterday.
I mean, we did it yesterday. Not for this long.
No.
though. I would say you're more guilty of it than me
Probably.
because the brain gets going on math, and I'm not good at math. I'll just pull out the calculator, and it gets going, and you really want to work it through. You kind of forget sometimes you're on live radio. Well, Mad Dog Russo was trying to figure out just what the Mets would need to do to get back in the hunt, and listen to him work.
This is bad radio.
This is going to make it's actually uncomfortable how bad it is.
If they ever did 55 and 30, the Braves would have to go 40 and 45 just for the Mets to match the Braves. So, in other words, if the Braves go 40 and 45 over their last 85 games,
Right.
that makes them 90 and 72. To match that, the Mets would have to go 50 and 35.
Okay.
And it actually do better than that, really one more win, 51 and 34, because of the fact, or 56 and 34, because of the fact that the, 56 and, is that correct? Wrong. 56 and let's see,
God.
55. What
Oh,
did I
God.
say the Mets are? The Mets right now,
Pull the
let's
ripcord,
figure this
dude.
out properly. They're 7 under 500. I think they're 34, and I think they're 41. So to get the 90 wins, they got to go 56
Right.
and roughly,
Oh,
is it 31?
not roughly.
Divide by the
So
square
for the
root.
Braves to do
X.
worse than that, the Braves got to go. I know the Braves got to go 40
Oh,
and 45
right.
in their 85 games to
Right.
go to get the 90, because the Braves right now have 55 wins.
Uh-huh.
The Braves have 50 wins. So 40 and 45 gets them to 90. The Mets are 35 and 42.
Oh my
Correct.
God.
So to get to, so that's 55 to get the 90 from 35,
Yes.
42. They got to go 55 and 30. So to beat the Braves out,
Right.
if they went 40 and 45, the Mets
Okay.
would have to go 56 and 29,
Okay.
because the Braves right now have beaten the Mets 5 out of 6. They'd have tiebreaker.
Right.
The Mets aren't going 56 and 29. And the loss yesterday by the Mets was as bad a loss as you're ever going to have.
I have no idea if he's right, wrong. I have no idea what
Sounds
he
good to
had
me.
me. He had me at the beginning, and I was following along, and then it just goes off the rails.
I'd
man.
like Bob Melvin to give that speech to the players before the game today.
Hey, so
Guys,
if
we need to go
56
50 and 34 the rest of the way, because if the Diamondbacks go 40
but
and
the
45,
Dodgers also
the
40 and
Dodgers would have to go
36.
42 and 43, and then wait, if we go 51
The
and
eyes.
33, then we'll
His producer must have been like, "Oh God, I can't cut the dog off, but I want to cut him off."
Banging on the glass.
Just
Stop
like,
it!
just giving him the throat slash. Like, shut up, dude. That's enough. There's our beloved Mad Dog.
Oh, man.
That was really something.
I got the Angels in my crosshairs today. I was reading this in the Los Angeles Times. Tradition in baseball. It's the sport. The traditions are the oldest and the most revered, I would say, of every professional sport.
This is a weird one.
This is kind of strange. So
no, it's weird that you're mad about this.
well,
In my opinion,
so historically,
Right.
the Angels play the Big A up in Anaheim Angel Stadium. If you've ever driven past it, you see outside, right next to the freeway, they got the big giant A with the halo
Yes.
on top. And it's always been a tradition when the Angels win a game, they light the halo. Even decades ago when Dick Enberg was broadcasting games, the halo shines tonight, and they turn it on.
it's a good bit.
It's a really good bit. It's a great tradition, and they've done it for decades and decades. And then if it's dark, well, they lost. You drove by. You didn't need to see the game, hear the final score. If you're in Orange County and you're driving by and you knew the Angels played that
They
night,
lost.
they lost. It's off. Or hey, they won. It's on. But all of a sudden, over the last, no one's quite sure, year or so, they realized it doesn't matter if they win or not. They put the halo on every single night.
They just want everybody to have a
Yeah.
good time.
I guess so. No losers here anymore. I guess they thought it was bad look if the halo's off. So, Yeah, they turn it on every single night. They say it's a little dimmer when they lose and a little brighter when they
okay.
win. They've added like lettering around this Angels win when they win, and they don't put it on when they lose.
Inherently, it looks better lit. Always looks better lit.
It does look better lit, that's for sure. But it's messing with, I think, one of the great traditions. The Sacramento Kings started it with their laser beam. They'd hit the button and the laser would shoot out of their arena when they were making their playoff run this year. It's cool. It's a cool thing that they've done. Why mess with a tradition? And they never really explained it. Bill Shaken of the Times asked, when did you change this? Why are you doing this? And no one in the Angels organization really got back to him and explained why the change.
If Bill Shaken called me and I worked for the Angels, hey, Steve, it's Bill. Hey, Bill, how are you? Good. I can't comment if we're trading Ohtani or not, so don't even ask me. No, I just wanted to ask you about why you guys like the halo even when you lose. What? Slow news day, Bill? Slow.
It was a slow news day yesterday. That's
slow.
Very slow yesterday.
All right, time to defend this little angel on do this.
DD mega doo-doo.
So my beloved Aztec for Life Paige Spiranak took to her Instagram and Twitter. And so there was this picture of these two guys that play for the Savannah Bananas, Ben, and they're in their baseball pants. And, as the saying goes, baseball butts drive me nuts. And these guys, though, are shirtless. And they have cowboy hats on, and they're doing their bit out there. And, of course, oh, my gosh, all the women are coming out of the woodwork and getting, oh, my gosh, baseball is my favorite sport. Well, Paige Spiranak, who's not shy about letting her she's very expressive with her body as well. She tweets, interesting how different the reaction is online when men choose to show off their bodies. Not one comment on this video calling them attention whores or sluts. Just a ton of women saying baseball is now their favorite sport. But those same women harshly judge me. The hypocrisy. I couldn't agree more.
That's called a double standard.
Yeah, a double
Woods,
standard.
And I think that's a clear example of a double standard. Good for Paige for calling it out. Not that the guys at the Savannah Bananas did anything wrong either.
Much like she doesn't do anything wrong. Ever. Don't ever stop being free with your body, Paige.
If I look like those guys, or if I look like Paige, probably want to show it off too. I don't, so I don't.
I'm a defender of her right to do that. Very much
independent of whether you enjoy it or not.
Exactly.
It's just her.
It's her right.
It's her right to do it,
Correct.
and she should not be shamed
or mocked or called an attention whore or
at all for expressing herself. She also gives some good golf tips.
She does. She actually she gave me, not personally yet, a tip on how to get out of a bunker, and I've used it ever since. She's fantastic.
Now, what if Fuzzy Zeller gave you the same tip shirtless? Would that not be as good?
I might not have clicked on that one.
See, there is a difference.
There's a difference there, but I just am a big believer in her right to express herself in the way she chooses, as I am for those shirtless gentlemen that are dressed up like they're cosplaying as Chris Paddock with their shirts off.
That's Don't and Do This for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Well, you're a big believer in expressing yourself like Paige, and you also are apparently a believer in energies. Bad energies, good energies, removing energies.
God, we need it.
That's what our next guest is
We
about,
need
Padres
this.
fans. We're going to try to heal whatever bad energy is floating around this team this season or around fans, wherever it is.
No doubt.
Professional energy healer Herman Petrick is scheduled to join us next. You got
Don't you dare
got a
insult.
skeptic
Don't you dare insult him.
in our midst. Coming up next on 97.3 The Fan. This hour on the Fan is brought to you by South Norte Tequila Cocktails. Savor South Norte Mexican-inspired premium tequila cocktails made with real tequila and real juice. Sip on a classic margarita, an authentic Paloma, crack open a Matador or a Mexican Mule. Pick yours up at Stater Brothers, Ralph's, Costco, and more. All right, we have exhausted all the other alternatives. We're going to take an unorthodox approach to fixing what's wrong with this Padres season, the fan base, all of us.
Yes.
So we talk energies right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. And a little mood lighting in here. All right, we're joined right now on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline by energy healer Herman Petrick.
Yes.
And it's funny, I said earlier, I wonder how he pronounces his last name. I remember there was a Rockies player named Ben Petrick in the past who pronounced it that way, and just found out from Paulie Herman that Ben is actually your cousin.
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, so you're familiar then with the struggles, the trials and tribulations of baseball players and baseball fan bases, Herman, certainly.
Well, yeah, definitely. And if you look at the dedication that the athletes put in to play at such a high level, they're really gifted. But a lot of it comes down to, especially in baseball, timing, right? And so, you can be this super stud athlete, but if your timing's just slightly off, it could really create some issues. It could be the difference between a win or a loss
every time. And that's kind of what we've been going through as a fan base here, Herman. A lot of expectations going into this season with the San Diego Padres. And now you're finding, with a massive inconsistency, you see it all the time. It feels like the vibes are off. It feels like there's something missing. And the vibes are certainly off with the fan base. I mean, we're all fans of the same team, yet we cannibalize each other on a daily basis and point fingers. So I was like, man, we need to get somebody on that can explain this, give us a couple of tips and tools for, healing our energy a little bit.
Yeah, well, definitely. So first off, if you can just think about energy, think in terms of energy, because everything around us is energy, right? And so there's these energetic parasites that attach to most people that just slightly manipulate your thoughts and your emotions. Now, and I know a lot of people don't like to believe this, but there's people out there that can send negative energy to people or organizations. And sometimes it's their intent to do that. And sometimes it's just people are upset with the performance and they start, the word curse, when you curse someone out,
yes.
Anytime you have a spoken word, you're sending that energy to that person. That happens more often than not, but then there's times where people are so angry or they feel hard done by an organization or a person that they actually practice like black magic, or they send spells or curses or hexes. And when I, briefly spoke with Paul yesterday, I really kind of tuned into the Padres organization, and it does feel to me like there was some sort of a curse that's been directed at the organization. And I would say that's only been there for about 3 or 4 months. I can't really say where it comes from. I can just tell if something's there. Now, the proof obviously is in the pudding, because it's easy to say, well, these guys are losing because of this, but there's so many variables. But from my standpoint, when I look at it and I see there is some negative intent sent that direction, and we talk about these athletes and if their timing's off. So let's say, I'm up to bat and I have this little mind virus. It's very, very subtle that just throws my timing off just a little bit. That's a difference between winning and losing. So what I did, what I did for the organization last night, that's when I really tuned in. I did some energy work and removed some sort of curse that's been there, like I said, for the last 3 or 4 months. So that should really help the athletes connect to their true self when they can really focus without having that mind virus manipulate their thought that might just slow them down just a fraction of a second. So
Herman, let me
Yeah, it does make sense.
Well, let me say, I appreciate you coming on with us today. I am more of a skeptic. So I guess my question would be, you can do this from wherever I don't know where your location is, but you're not in Pittsburgh. You weren't with the team on the road or anything. You can remove energies remotely, is what you're saying.
He's very skeptical.
Yeah.
He is that black magic you were talking
Yeah,
about.
I'm not the
definitely.
black
I've been
magic.
doing this.
I'm the most
I've been doing
positive person you know.
I've been doing this for over 11 years now, and my whole business model is working remote. My target market is all of the US, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. So, and I never leave my office to do the work. So I've been doing this remotely for a lot of years and have helped thousands of people. And yeah, there's a lot of skeptics out there, and that's okay because everyone has their own belief system. But for the work that I do, it's really about, it's a gift where I can connect and use the power of my intent to change the energies that are affecting people or organizations. So it's, and a lot of people will say, well, it's a placebo effect or this or that. Well, the fact of the matter is I do a lot of work on small children, that like, say you have a 2-year-old that's having nightmares every night and can't sleep and always afraid. A lot of parents will bring me in. I clear their energy, their nightmares are gone instantly. And the kid knows nothing about me doing the energy work. So I guess for the Padres standpoint, you guys have a solid team that just seems to be winning and losing and losing and losing and winning and losing and losing.
That's exactly right.
I guess we'll see over the next coming, weeks if there's a little bit of a change and see a little more of the W's instead of the L's. So
I love this, Herman, and I am a believer in energy. I'm a believer in changing your energy. We are talking to Herman Petrick. He's an energy healer here on Ben & Woods. I've painted myself though into a bit of a corner because quite a corner, and I'll be the first to admit it. I have said before, I actually had T-shirts made that said curses aren't real because, and here's why I tell you, I have often thought, by just blaming a curse, we are really letting the high-priced athletes off the hook for their poor performance, their uninspired performances. So I'm screwed, basically, is what I'm saying. Now I'm going to have to make new T-shirts that say reverse the curse. And maybe Herman is the one that has done that. So I guess if I believe in energy, I guess I have to believe in curses as well. I just didn't feel this whole franchise had been cursed. We've got good players, and they're just not performing.
Well, you heard it from Herman.
I heard it from Herman. I know.
3 to 4 months ago, there was a curse.
You said Herman, you said you have a gift. We're talking to Herman Petrick, energy healer. How did you discover it? Was there any training at all involved in, was there mentors? How did you come about to kind of enter into this, the vocation of energy healing?
It came out of nowhere. Like, I've been a professional businessman my whole life. And then it was about 12 years ago, something just switched, and I realized I had this ability to clear negative energies from people and places. And I tested it out on, a few friends, and then a bunch of people started reaching out and saying, oh, I have this child or this. And so I worked with some kids and it worked instantly. And then all these parents started calling me. So I created a website. But as far as formal training, there's no training for this. I mean, you can go to different schools or this or that, but then you start to form a belief system. And for me, everything comes from within. And so for me, I try to stay away from learning aids on this type of work because I don't want to be blinded by my beliefs in this, so I have to try to keep an open mind. So for me, it's just a straight up gift. There was no training. Of course, as the years progressed, it's evolved, and I've, changed my tactics and, started doing better work in my opinion. So, but yeah, it just came out of nowhere.
I'm sold fully. I'm fully sold. I'm ready to believe you have. Is there anything that we as a fan base can do, Herman, as we sit down and watch the game tonight, just try to think positive thoughts, I guess, keep the the positive energy around the team? Is that the direction from you?
I would say just enjoy the game.
All right,
know,
I will do
fans
that.
fans are fickle. You know,
We are. We have so are radio
from
hosts. Absolutely.
one inning to the next. So I would say just enjoy it. You know, it's a sport, and of course it's a big money sport, and there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for the fans because, you know, they're bleeding Padres, and it's really frustrating. But they just have to remember, you know, they're there to enjoy the game, not get so angry. Because when you're getting angry and you're cursing out the pitcher or the batter, you're not helping anybody. You know, you're just creating that negative energy in our world, which there's plenty of the negative energy without, you know, us putting it on everyone around us.
Well,
I love it.
I will say to anyone who liked what they heard from Herman, you can go to hermanpetrick.com and learn more. Maybe even get Herman to work for you on your own energies. Herman, we appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, man.
While I remain skeptical and Woods remains a
Shut
believer,
up,
I'm
Ben.
Shut up.
sure you
That
get a
was
lot of
Here
fantastic.
it is. Here's that negative energy we were talking
Herman, thank you very much.
Thank you, Herman.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
Herman Petrick on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way
Love it.
with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Lots of differing opinions in the chat.
Chat.
We've got people who are very excited about Herman. We've got someone who says this is utter nonsense.
Good.
This is the definition of utter nonsense right now. I kind of tend to agree with that, but you guys, I mean, he talks a good game.
Matthew says, if we win 3 games in a row, I'm Venmoing this guy $100.
1,000%. Oh, the guy that said it's utter nonsense. That's the guy that's been.
He was the one in the in foreplay.
I virtually stabbed him earlier, so he's bleeding out virtually. I love it. Positive
So-
energy mindset, dude. There we go.
3
Love
to
it.
4 months ago, a curse was placed on this team.
Yeah, I believe it.
What the F happened?
I believe it.
3-8. So he didn't see any visions of like a Clayton Kershaw crying face
No.
or anything like that as
That
part
would
of his
have
curse
been-
that he saw. That would have only been like a month and a half or
No.
2 months
That would have
ago.
been mid-February to mid-March, somewhere in that range.
This is why the Padres will always be lame. The fans don't expect much and accept it. So it just get paid and suck. Yes, it's the fans' fault that we can't hit with runners in scoring position, CBS. The fans. Blame the fans for not
I guess what
hitting.
bothers me is that if the Padres did start winning games right now,
Yeah.
let's say they start a 12-game winning streak today, a lot of people are going to give Herman all the credit when really it'll belong to the players and to the coaches and to an organization for continuing to have faith and continuing to work through a tough season. That while we can it's fun to absolve ourselves of the responsibility of struggling, but you also then abandon all the credit you should get for anything good that happens.
You're
as well.
such an idiot. If this team starts winning at a 600 clip the rest of the way and starts scoring with runners or hitting with runners in scoring position, I'm 1,000% attributing it to Herman's appearance.
As am I.
Exactly.
As am I.
And I don't think that's fair to the guys who actually put in
They've
the
had
work.
3 months.
Yeah, they've had 3 months to do it themselves. Called in the big guns here.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you, Herman. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Well, it's an interesting tactic. I will say that.
It's a hero, is what he is.
I was
Watch
I
us drop
was stunned.
17-1 tonight.
I was stunned. He had a very much a baseball connection. He understood the game of baseball when it came to things like timing and that stuff. When he talked about that made some sense to me. Obviously, if whatever about you is off, you can call it. It could be a physical ailment. It could be a wrist injury for Xander Bogaerts. Any little thing can just put a tiny glitch in your timing that can absolutely ruin you if you're a baseball player. When you're talking about pitches that are coming in at 95 to 100 miles an hour, and you've got to square them up, barrel them in one exact spot in one moment of time as you're swinging through the strike zone. Yes, I would think there are a lot of things that can get you just off, whether you want to call it a dark energy that's attached to your body or something a little more tangible in terms of a physical ailment or simply the lack of confidence. I certainly believe that that's a thing.
If you don't
a lack
believe
of confidence.
Yeah, if you don't believe you're going to do damage when you go up to the plate, you're not going to. And
I
I
guess-
never had that mindset.
I guess where I am skeptic is that he can he can impact the Padres. Now, if the Padres went to him and they all bought in and go, hey, I think what this guy is saying holds some validity, and then they go start playing, maybe there is. He called it a placebo effect, whatever it is, power of positive thinking. I believe in that. But if no one tells the Padres that this happened and they start playing better, I refuse to believe that Herman waved his arms or whatever he does in whatever location he was on the other side of that Zoom call is going to affect the baseball season going forward. I can't fathom any possible way that Herman could have an impact on the Padres remotely without their knowledge.
That's just hater-ass right there. That's just you just being a hater. Joe Musgrove's mom listens to our program. Maybe she can pass it on to the fellas. Let them know.
Tell Jesse Agler and
Tell Jesse. Yeah, we'll tell Jesse, see what he thinks.
I feel like Jesse is going to be a little more in my camp when it comes to things like energy healing.
I'm Team Herman, my friend.
I loved that.
I did too. I thought he was great. He can I say he looked younger than I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be more of an older sage.
Now he told me yesterday when we were going back and forth trying to set this all up. His practice takes about 2 weeks.
Okay.
To really
sounds like he
see the effects.
So really more
Sounds
post All-Star break is when we're looking for the
sounds like he did a quick fix last night though, which I'm fine with.
It's kind of like if you get prescribed for like an antidepressant. It takes like a month.
It's got to kick in. Yeah.
It takes like a month for your body to feel the effects of that. So I would say by the All-Star break, we'll know if this worked or not.
The best part about bits like this are the people that take them so seriously, and you're out there and you're ridiculous. You're ridiculous. Like if you can't have
like
fun,
the people who are mad about
you're ridiculous.
Well, if you want to sound off, you can join us coming up next. Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
We are halfway home on a very healing Tuesday here on Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. I'm Woodsy. I'm your guru. To my right is my guru, my vice guru, Paul Reindl. And to my left, Mr. Negativity, Benjamin R.
Bad energy, Ben.
Bad energy.
I am cursed.
Higgins
You know
the
what?
Hex.
I am cursed.
Cursed with logic.
You know what I'm cursed with? Politeness. I should have been a little more challenging to a few of the things that Mr. Petrick had to say. Very polar, maybe one of the most polarizing guests we've ever had on Ben and Woods.
Potentially.
Just looking at the reaction on chat and social media between people who loved Herman and people who thought it was a complete sham and crock. And I did not challenge him the way I probably could have. I just didn't want to be rude. He took his time out to be on our show.
Yeah.
But when I asked him about how he does his thing, how he learned, how he trained, I was sitting here rolling my eyes over and over again. I mean, Paulie, can you go back and play?
It's a gift, man.
What he had to
Can't
say
argue with a gift.
in our last. So we had an energy healer on. If you're just joining us, to try to fix the Padres. And he talked a good game, curses, lifting
settle down.
energies.
Ben was mad about this when we told him about it yesterday.
Yes.
He was mad this morning when he got in.
Yeah.
He was mad when we had the guest on.
Yes.
Did it
He's
show?
Mad
still
after.
upset now.
IRA Fan Geek tweet in the chat goes, Ben seems upset about this whole thing of even trying a psychic. Not a psychic, he's an energy healer.
Yeah, he heals energy. I don't know why this is so hard for you.
I just don't. I mean, where are his qualifications?
What are yours? What are your qualifications?
Trained in
Oh,
radio
you did some PA when high school basketball when you were in 8th grade. I have no qualifications. Paulie doesn't either.
Why should anybody listen to any of us?
100%. It blows my mind that they do. I didn't go to get a PhD in baseball or broadcasting. You didn't either.
Butcher Anthony says, Ben, you can't teach this stuff.
It's a
Can
gift.
Can you play his answer back just a little bit so I can dive in just a little deeper?
All I know is this won't hurt.
Here's what
Right.
Herman had to say. You
Right.
asked him, you're not with the team in Pittsburgh.
Right.
You're doing this remotely. How does this all work?
I've been doing this for over 11 years now, and
11.
my whole business model is working remote. My target
All right,
market
first
is,
of all, business model working remote. If
Yes.
you look at his website, he's doing this to make a living. He charges people, individuals, up, anywhere between $250, $300 for a session. Businesses can be $2,000 to $3,000 for extended sessions. So this is a way that Herman makes a living by removing energies from his home office.
Yes.
Continue, please.
And what's the problem with that? If you don't work for free,
Knocking a guy's hustle.
yeah, you don't work for free. Do you?
Play a little? I don't work for free. No.
That's weird. You love
remote.
sports.
My target market is all of the US, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. So
Well, you know what?
and
What if he realized he had to be there to make things work? That all of a sudden becomes a much more expensive
It
proposition.
changes. It
You have
changes.
to fly to New Zealand to do
Yeah.
your energy healing. It's a lot easier to do it remotely on Zoom
Guess you forgot about the pandemic
Then-
that all of us had to adjust on Zoom.
than it is to make a FaceTime, a
Herman
face
was ahead of the game.
appearance
Maybe he knew
in
it was coming.
Sydney or
He probably
Auckland.
did. He probably did.
and I never leave my office to do the work. So
Yeah,
I've been
that's where the
doing this
magic
remotely
happens.
for a lot of years, and
Very
have helped
cost
thousands
efficient.
of people. And yeah, there's a lot of skeptics out there, and,
Ben,
and that's okay because everyone has their own belief system.
that's right.
But for the work that I do, it's really about it's a gift where I can connect and use the power of my intent to change the energies that are affecting
It's a
people
gift.
or organizations. So it's, and a lot of people will say, well, it's a placebo effect or this or that.
Yeah.
Well, the fact of the matter is I do a lot of work on small children, that
That's
have
not creepy at
that,
all.
like say you have
That's
a
not-
2-year-old
it's
that's
not
having
creepy if you
nightmares
make
every
it creepy.
Yeah, you just made it creepy.
That you made it creepy.
That's not
I did
creepy.
not have that.
Un-
that
unaware,
man, I
unwilling
apologize.
small children. He does a lot of his work on.
Oh.
That's not scary.
It wasn't. This has gotten really weird.
Matthew says, Ben, you're going to ruin it.
Yeah, he is.
Rafa says, I got to say I'm with Ben on this one.
Okay.
I don't know. I like to think I'm an open-minded person,
You're not.
but maybe I'm not.
I don't think you are.
Maybe you're challenging me to be more open-minded.
Just to think with a positive
Well,
mindset.
the parade's back on in my mind, and Ben's not invited.
100%.
Well, I mean, if the Padres win the World Series, there should only be one person in the parade.
Herman.
Yeah,
Walking down the
the Grand
streets,
Marshal. You kidding me?
Yep.
walking down Market Street in San Diego, Harbor Avenue by himself. Balloons, streamers, everyone throwing the ticker tape as Herman walks down to celebrate his World Series championship, because it'll have nothing to do with Fernando Tatis Jr. or Juan Soto or
Now
Manny
we've-
Machado.
Now we've taken a
Be Herman.
fun bit and made it bad.
What did we tell you yesterday? Lean in. Just go with us.
Whatever. I know there are people out there who are on my side.
I don't really want to be here the rest of the morning now.
Really don't either.
Ben just want to make sure everything pleases Ben. So, how about that new Aztecs transfer?
That's something.
Could have talked about that for 20 minutes instead of
Yes.
trying something different
Oh,
and
God.
having some fun. But
Like all the air just got sucked out of the room. I think the curse is back on.
bad energy in here right now. Let's get Herman back on the
I don't know
line.
what we do. Can we go to break? No, we still have like 8 minutes. I believe in a lot. I do. I'm open. Well, it's not even that I believe. I'm open to ideas. Very, very open to ideas. Changing the energy. I think I think energy is a real thing. I think mindset is a real thing.
100%. Ben, let me ask you this.
I agree with that part of it. Like, Ted Lasso and the power of positivity.
Yeah, look at
I
Ted
think that
Lasso.
is.
I
It's energy. It's
absolutely
positive energy.
believe that. If you want to call it energy, that's fine. I don't know how Herman does it from wherever he's sitting in a home office.
You're
somewhere.
very hung up on the remote aspect
am.
of it. Like, it would be weirder to me if he went and put his hands on people. I've seen preachers do that. That I
that's
don't believe in.
Way more.
That's
weird.
way weirder. Like the hand on the forehead.
I don't believe in that either.
I grew up in the churches of Texas, and I've seen that. That's weird to me.
the
running up and
reason
down
why-
the aisles. Yeah.
You equated it to therapy earlier. And I do believe in therapy. You know why? Because therapy is putting in the work. You put in the work. It's hard. It's difficult to talk about feelings and emotions. It can be cathartic. People can move forward. What Herman to me is selling is trying to change something without putting in the work. That
As far as you
sit-
know.
That's what it feels like to me. And I don't believe there are any magic, easy fixes. I believe there are fixes. I believe there are fixes for the San Diego Padres team. They haven't found them yet, but I absolutely believe there are fixes for every baseball team that's struggling out there. And it may be mental, it may be physical, it may require a different set of players, changing some conditions that go on. The Cincinnati Reds were terrible. They lost 100 games last year. What are they doing differently this year? Well, they've
Better
added some
energy.
players. They're doing something, though. They put in the work to become a better baseball team this year. That's what I believe in. There's no way to get around it. You can't buy it for $300. Wow. You have to put in the work to get where you want to
Sound
go.
like a cop right now.
Cop.
That's what Roman says. Ben sounds like a cop. No, I'm a big fan of Herman's. I believe in his work. I believe in his gift. We'll see how it plays out. See how it plays out tonight, and this series, and the rest of this year. It didn't have to be this serious. It was supposed to be fun, but then we have allegations of things, and it just got really weird. Man, I really wish we could go to break.
You want to do that? We can do that. There's no law that says we can't break a little bit early and reset our energy here on Ben and Woods.
Nobody in the chat says that I'm smoking too much marijuana. I don't even smoke marijuana at all. Like twice a year, maybe. And I eat and get paranoid. And don't send me your strains. I get it. I've tried them all. Nothing works on
Trust me,
me.
I've tried.
Paulie's tried. Well, try this one. And I'm peeking out the window looking for the DEA.
Paulie could
even though it's
literally
legal.
deliver anything you wanted to Woods when he was working at
Last time we
March
were in
and Ash.
It
Arizona,
doesn't work.
I gave you a little bit of something.
What did I do?
You said, "Holy effing S, Paulie! I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs."
And I went right to my room and went to sleep. That's what I did. So it's not even Yeah, it was a nice sunny morning until
You want to take a phone call or two here? We got people who want to talk about it. Let's go to a Dan. Welcome to Ben and Woods on 97.3. The Fan wants to talk about energy.
Energy.
Good morning, Dan.
Hey, good morning, Ben and Woods.
Yep.
I just wanted to say that, Ben, you are ruining the great energy
Thank you.
that Mr. Hemlock just gave
Mr.
us in this Padres to turn this season around. I'm kind of disappointed in you, Ben. And now the energy's back to being cursed, and now we're not going to the playoffs no more. Thanks, Ben. Thanks to you.
Thanks a lot, Ben.
I'm glad I
agree-
have
I
that
agree
kind of
with Dan.
power. I really
Stephanie
do.
says she's very much Team Ben Higgins. Right? It happens.
Let's go to Joe in Mission Valley.
Just want to go to break.
Joe, you're next up on Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Hi, Joe.
Hey,
Hi.
just want to talk about Ben being negative on the energy deal.
Okay. Hi, Joe. How are
Hi,
you?
Joe. Good morning. I hate this.
Baseball is one of the most superstitious sports there is out there.
Yes. Yes.
Guys wear the same socks for a whole season just because they're hitting well, you know.
Yep. 100%.
He needs to get on. He needs to get on board.
Honestly,
Bob Melvin, the root beer barrels.
It kind of drives me crazy about baseball a little bit. Every superstition that works, that doesn't work, they all have a very limited shelf life, and then they go on to something else. You know what that is? That's random coincidence. That's happenstance. That's chance. That's circumstance. The root beer barrels, sorry, Bob, they don't do anything for the San Diego Padres. Whether you're standing on the left side of the dugout or the right side of the dugout, it doesn't change the fact of how your team is playing. It doesn't. I'm sorry.
Are
It
you
doesn't.
play golf? Are you superstitious at all about golf?
I am not superstitious about golf.
I don't believe you.
I don't
Take
believe that for a
responsibility
I don't believe
for
it for
my
a
own
second.
actions.
I do not believe that for 1 second.
I mean, I certainly, for myself, if you're a hitter and you're feeling good and you're locked in the groove, I absolutely believe in maintaining routine and consistency to get you into that same framework and frame of mind. That's not superstition, though. There's a difference between consistency and superstition. Yeah, why would you change something that's working? That doesn't make you superstitious. That makes you smart. That makes you wise. That, hey, I found a routine for whatever reason. I may not understand why it works, but it's working. The manager sucking on a root beer barrel is not going to make Fernando Tatis Jr. hit a home run or not. I'm sorry, it's just not. That's a ridiculous superstition. Getting dressed at the same time when you come in, if you want to call it a superstition, fine. But to me, that's getting in a good routine that's working for you. And that absolutely can be something that people would call a superstition. It's not. Whether you touch a line when you're coming onto the field, not going to affect your play unless you let it, unless you hit the foul line as you're walking on, and you get all spooked out.
Why would you
because
tempt
believe
fate?
it all.
You just don't tempt fate.
All right, I've had pretty much my fill of this topic.
I'm aware. What kind of insults can you hurl at Jesse Agler? We'll find out at 8:35.
Oh, Jesse and I are on the same page. I promise. That's coming up. Do not go anywhere. We're going to check traffic. We'll be right back with more of Woods and Paul and the Downer on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Just got an interesting nugget from our researcher and phone screener out there. Jack Higgins. Good job, Jack. Piece on the Texas Rangers. Have been one of the top teams in baseball this year, correct?
Yes.
Also, you know what the Rangers have done? They've struggled in close games, just like the Padres have. But despite that, have one of the best records, second best record in the American League, I believe. Their offense has been solid all season long. But all of a sudden, here in the month of June, they've kind of become pedestrian. They are 12-11 in the month of June. And if that sounds familiar, Padres are also 12-11 in the month of June, just like the Texas Rangers. Yet their offense has continued to produce at a very similar clip. In April, they had a 336 slug, 441 on base, or 336 on base, 441 slug. May, 341, 456. In June, 341, 462. Their pitching has remained fairly consistent. The big difference? In April and May, the Rangers hit about 330 with runners in scoring position. They're down to 248 in June.
Damn.
It makes a huge difference between the wins and the losses is when you get those hits with runners in scoring position. The Rangers have gone from a top team to a dead flat average team. And by the way, the Padres would love to hit 248 with runners in scoring position.
That is literal.
Padres are 12-11. They're still hitting about 205, 210 with runners in scoring position this month.
Hitting 250 with runners in scoring position for as many guys that gets on base for this team is like a sexual fantasy of mine at this point. 250 seems so far out of the realm.
It does go to show you that if there was one stat, you just say the rest of the year, the Padres could hit league average with runners in scoring position, which is I think it's right around 260 right now. I still feel like they'd be an outstanding ball club, one that I would expect to make the playoffs. Why would you them to hit 260 with runners in scoring position when they haven't done it all year?
Just because of the stupid law of averages,
the nature of that stat,
the nature of it, the fact that now the curse has also been lifted. So, we'll see what happens, but. Yeah, that's really it. That's been the bugaboo all year long. Sure, bullpen has blown a couple games. Hader's blown a couple games. The Mookie home run certainly stands out as a kind of a gnarly turning point this year. But yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen in the course of 162 a lot. Bullpen's just not going to have it that night. Consistently inconsistent has been the offense, and especially. Not even inconsistent, Ben, as far as hitting with runners in scoring position, just bad.
Yeah, they've been too consistently bad.
Yeah, consistently poor. Not even really an up and down. When the games they win, they jack 4 home runs out and, hey, no need to get runners in when you're hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's only been a handful of games all season in which they've actually hit well with runners in scoring position, like 6 of 14. Yeah. 5 of 11 games like that. In all of those games, they've absolutely destroyed the competition.
100%.
On those days, those very rare days when they have hit with runners in scoring position.
It's like they've won easily. It's such an easy dub if they do it. So and Xander said it last week. The panic that he said he feels, right? I heard Coach and Braden talking about this yesterday. They were really surprised by his comments. And his comments were basically, if the other team scores first, there is a feeling of OS, here we go. That can't be. That can't happen. That mindset needs to go away. And I know that if you do something over and over and over and over, well, that's what you're going to start to believe. And he said it. He's like, man, when the other team scores first, we're like, uh-oh, here we go. I don't know. The only way to change that is just hit your way through it. That's literally the only answer. It's not, use the velo machine more or work on curveballs, work on pitch identification. No, you just got to hack your way through it. But yeah, there's no good answer for it other than to just go out and do it. And it's hard to say stop pressing when you're at a historical low. Imagine not pressing when you're at a historical low.
To say stop pressing is kind of along the lines of, don't think about a giant red elephant. Well, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Of course. You say don't press, then okay, I gotta figure out not press. I'm not pressing.
I'm not pressing so hard.
That makes you press.
100%.
When you think about it and try not to press, makes you press. So, obviously we compared earlier this week, Padres and the Angels right now as organizations. We talked about the Angels earlier. Last night, Shohei Ohtani hit his 26th home run of the season, leads all of baseball. another moonshot. I mean, he hits them so far. Another over 440-foot home run. And they ended up winning a walk-off on a wild pitch. Mike Trout scored from third. Aaron Bummer of the Chicago White Sox threw the wild pitch. I won't even make the joke because it's so easy on that one. But so Ohtani pitches today for the Angels. The way they've been throwing him, they throw him with an extra day of rest.
Yes.
Which means he'll be lined up to make his next start after today on Monday at Petco Park against the San Diego Padres.
I got tickets to that one.
Do you son of a... I asked.
July 3rd.
Hell yeah.
Ohtani against the Padres. And I'm torn because that is a treat to see baseball's biggest two-way star.
Yes.
Who is doing things that we thought were impossible in the game. He is a Cy Young candidate. He is an MVP runaway. He is incredible. He is holding batters to the lowest average in the American League. He's among the leaders in strikeouts in baseball, and he leads in home runs, and he hits the ball harder than anyone in baseball right now. I want to see a guy like that pitch at Petco Park. It's very exciting. It also, of course, is going to make it harder for the Padres to win a game because he's on the mound. And the Padres need to win games right now. So I wasn't sure if I was hoping the Padres would dodge Ohtani. Like maybe they move him up and pitch him on Sunday and you don't see him at all in that series on the mound at least. Maybe he gets a day off as a DH as well because of that. Or are you happy that Shohei Ohtani looks like he's going to pitch at Petco Park in the opener to the next homestand coming up on Monday?
I mean, you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And, there's a way to beat Shohei Ohtani. Most likely it's waiting him out and getting into the bullpen, which
he's lost a few. He's 6-3.
Yeah.
He's lost a few this year.
He's definitely beatable. So I think, it's really awesome for baseball to have him here. I want to go to that game. Paul has stolen my tickets, apparently. So I'm probably just going to have to clear it with the missus and go down there as a reporter that day just to report and do work, but not a privilege I abuse much at all. So I want to be
the best
there.
show in baseball, right?
No question, man, no question. So I want to see that.
Although Ellie De La Cruz is rivaling Shohei Ohtani, at least in the short term.
Cool, we get to see him
for
too.
excitement, and the Padres will see him at the end of this road trip as well. He's already hit for a cycle. The guy, the most impressive hit that I saw, he had a 116-mile-an-hour double that hit off the outfield wall so hard that it bounced back almost half the way to the infield.
It was not surprised.
It was nuts how hard that kid hits a baseball right now, and he's doing it in his first couple of weeks in the big leagues. Very impressive, very exciting times for the Cincinnati Reds. But then again, they lost 3 in a row.
Yep.
After their 12-game winning streak. So baseball.
God, but they put together
sport.
12 wins in a row. 12. We cannot get to 4. You're telling me now 3 against the Pirates, then 3 against the Reds.
The
and
Angels,
then Shohei.
then
Shohei. So at best, you're probably going to get 6 in a row, and then you run into Shohei Ohtani at best. But man,
I'll take
6
it.
in a row.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Reds are playing well. I'd be happy with 5 out of 6 on this road trip. I'd be very happy. Of course,
that's a dream.
That'd be back to 500 when they got home.
3-3 is more. It feels more.
That's not good
more
enough.
likely.
That's not good enough anymore.
Yep.
All right, Jesse Agler is in Pittsburgh, getting ready for the road trip opener. 4:05 first pitch today. 3:05 pregame show. We will talk to the voice of the Padres, play the Incorporator when we come back next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
right now. If you do decide to have a day that you treat yourself, I couldn't recommend a place more. Swagyu Chop Shop. There's 3 locations: one in IB, one in PB, one in Poway. You're a foodie. You're gonna die when you eat this.
I can't wait.
You are going.
I can't wait.
It is so You learn something new on this show every day.
Does Jesse know the answer to this?
Ooh,
I
that's a
wonder.
good.
All
That's a
right.
good one.
We're gonna test Jesse's knowledge. I will give him
bet
a
you-
98% chance of answering this question correctly.
I don't think there's any question that he gets this right.
You're 100% sure.
I'm 100% sure.
All
he
right,
knows
100% sure. Woods was thinking about it. We will ask Jesse our geographic trivia question.
He knows what's coming
when he joins us next on 97.3 The Fan after a check of traffic.
From the Premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Vicky Pepper.
This report brought to you by Toyota of Poway, 805 south of the connector to the 8 west. Someone ran out of gas. You're backed up from the 52. 5 north at Balboa, a work zone has you jammed from the 8, and still plenty of slowing on the 15 south from the 76 to Deer Springs. It's the start of the summer sales event at Toyota of Poway. Right now, Toyota of Poway is stocked up on all new and pre-owned Toyotas with no added dealer markup on any new Toyotas in stock, excluding hybrids. Stop by today in the heart of San Diego, toyotaofpoway.com. I'm Vicky Pepper in for Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And this hour on 97.3 The Fan brought to you by SC Johnson Raid as we bring Jesse on from the city of Pittsburgh. Padres are at PNC Park tonight, but of course, Pirates used to play at old Three Rivers Stadium.
Yep.
Park's still there on the shores of the river. Jesse, the trivia question, of course, is what are the three rivers of Three Rivers
come
Stadium?
on.
Yeah.
Come
It's a
on.
joke. I know. It's a joke.
The Allegheny, of course, is the one you see sort of behind the ballpark in
Yeah.
right field. Then you got the Monongahela, which is hard to say. And where those two come together, as they call it, the confluence, the Ohio River is born.
There they are.
Those are the three rivers.
I knew we both were very, very confident you get that one right.
Ken
Jesse.
Jennings over here.
Good. He's, by the way, he's turned into like a very interesting person to me, but that's neither here nor there. My first or second year with the Padres, we were playing here and I was doing a series on TV filling in for Dick Enberg, and he was watching back in San Diego. And, you know, where the rivers come together, they call it the confluence.
Yes.
And I think it was like a Sunday day game, and there was a pop-up on the infield, and like 3 infielders all came together. And I made some remark about, at the confluence, they make the catch or something like that. And Dick texted me after the inning, and he loved it. And I was just so like tickled that, I made one of my stupid Jesse remarks, and that Dick Enberg was like so enthusiastic about it. That was like the only time I ever got any direct feedback from this legendary broadcaster, but he just loved that. Like he couldn't wait to tell me. It was great.
I love that you can say the sentence, well, I was filling in for Dick Enberg.
Right.
I mean, that's a great sentence
it's a
for a
great
sports
sentence.
broadcaster. It's amazing.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah. No, my life's a joke.
Jesse, what are your thoughts on energy?
Energy?
Yeah. Do you believe in
So I
just-
saw your tweet. You had a guy on.
Yeah,
He
we
fixed
did.
everything.
yeah, to try
Did he fix
to
it?
to change. Yeah, he says he did.
He said the Padres.
Okay.
He said he channeled the Padres last night and believes that there was a curse placed on the Padres 3 to 4 months ago.
Yep.
But it was more just about positive, negative energy. Do you believe in negative energy? And two of us did, and Ben really
One of us-
poo-pooed it.
He really did.
I wouldn't.
Resorted to personal insults and all sorts of stuff.
I wouldn't say that I have like a lot of belief in an actual energy that is out there and that can be manipulated by a third party. But what I will say is I think in team sports, there is an element of chemistry, for lack of a better word, and just sort of the ebbs and flows, particularly in the long season of baseball, provide opportunities for that energy, that chemistry to alter. And at times it is good, at times it is bad. It's a chicken and the egg conversation,
Yeah.
I think, in terms of the way a team is playing. It's easy to say they've got bad energy when things aren't going well. It's easy to say they all love each other when things are going great. I generally come down on the side of like, if a good team is playing well, obviously, everybody feels good about everything. And when things aren't going the same, they're not feeling so great about it. So that's kind of the extent that I'm willing to go with it. But also, I think I'm at the point with this season that like I'm all for anything. If you guys want to,
Yes.
bring in whoever to try and fix it, like let's do it.
Well,
Whatever we gotta do.
Jesse, I'm looking for the logical, tangible explanations to things. However, I will say this. Herman said that he felt like the energy was being directed toward the Padres from outside sources, maybe like, opposing fans. It was coming from outside toward the Padres. And if I take the leap, I can make the argument that maybe the Padres put a bit of a target on their backs in terms of the spending, the acquisitions, just the confidence going into this season where you haven't necessarily seen it with past Padres teams, but do you think there's anything to the fact that other teams now see the Padres coming? They're getting up for these series in ways that maybe they haven't gotten up for the Padres before, or at least maybe get up for the Padres more than they do just a generic game in June against another opponent. And that could be something that the Padres are contending with this year.
It is a tidy narrative. I will say that there's probably a little bit of that, but I don't think that's the main thing. Does that happen? For sure. And I think, and any one of these, sort of random teams that have given the Padres trouble in the last couple of months, you could probably find somewhere in there an argument along those lines to make. But I don't think it's the main thing. It might be a game here or there. That's not the reason the Padres have struggled hitting the fastball. That's not the reason you got a couple of guys who are just so far below their career numbers that it's almost inexplicable. Like, that's not the reason for that. Like, they didn't miss those fastballs against Josiah Gray on Saturday because he was fired up to face these hitters. Like, that you couldn't convince me of. It's mysterious though. It is. And I'm with you. I'm a very logic driven person. I like solving puzzles. I like looking for answers. I like, solving things and coming up with solutions. And I don't have it right now. And I know I'm not alone. I mean, you guys do this every single morning. I do it every single night with Tony. And if you listen to us, I mean, the last, few games, the last two games, I guess in particular, we were kind of like, I don't want to say at a loss, but we were saying again after the game, hey, I don't know. I mean, we've seen this pretty much all season long. I don't have any sort of easy explanation, for what's going on. Saw some of the quotes from the clubhouse after the Sunday game as well. And it's very similar down there. I mean, Nelson Cruz is going to be 43 years old next week. He has been around baseball his entire life. And he was saying what we were saying. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be fixed. That doesn't mean it can't be turned around. As much as we like to solve problems and put puzzles together, you don't necessarily have to know what's wrong now in order for it to get better in the future, in baseball, in sports. That's just not necessarily the way it works. I don't think there's like an actual equation that needs to be solved before they get better. They just got to play better baseball. They got to hit better. And if and when that happens, the wins will start coming. And this will be one of those things we look back at and shake our heads at. But if it continues, obviously, it's going to be a real challenge for them.
Talking to our pal Jesse Agler, voice of the Padres here on Ben and Woods, as we do every Tuesday. Certainly appreciate your time as always. And yeah, I mean, it's hard when we talked about it yesterday, Jesse. You've got a couple of, it's not like this team is a lost cause by any stretch. And I think sometimes the lost cause, you can resign yourself to that fact and say, you know what, they're still my guys and I'm going to root hard for them. And I think Padre fans should root for these guys anyway. That being said, you've got a championship caliber defense. And you've got a pitching rotation and a back end of your bullpen where you're like, all right, I'll take my chances in a 5-game series against anybody. But it's just been that offensive bugaboo that is just stuck in everybody's craw and certainly the hitters. No explanation for it. I read an article this morning, Jesse, saying Mike Trout is having trouble hitting the fastball this year. And it's confounding. And I think I thought Sunday was the new low. But Saturday's game was really, really tough to stomach, watching those guys up there, flailing at 95 miles an hour, which you and I can't do it, but those guys get paid handsomely to do that. I've never seen anything like that, man.
I mean, we've seen it a few times this year, though, and it is, I don't have an explanation for it. And, I think what also made Saturday so disappointing was that Friday had gone so well.
Yeah.
Thursday had gone so well. So we were sort of like back in that mindset of, okay, maybe this is the time where it turns around. I mean, how many times have we said that? Okay, this is the jumping off point. Maybe we'll look back at that Friday night against the Nationals in late June and say that was the moment when it all turned around. And it didn't, because they lost the next two games.
What's that?
And look, if they beat up on the Pittsburgh Pirates tonight and, they knock Rich Hill out in the third inning, we're going to be saying the same thing. Hey, maybe this is the one that gets them going.
Yeah.
And then maybe tomorrow goes the other way. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We got to wait and see.
What's that number for you? Like, what's the number where you look at it? Because it's hard. You win 2 and you're like, all right, here we go. And then you just get embarrassed, the next day. And what's the number for you where you're like, you know what? I really feel now after winning 7 in a row that this team is capable of going on, a longer prolonged run to the playoffs.
Probably for me, like I sort of in my mind have these benchmarks laid out. And the first thing, obviously, is to get to 500. But I'm not going to, my mindset is not going to like alter until they're probably 3 or 4 games over 500. At that point, it'll be like, okay, because they will have obviously had to win I don't have the record in front of me, were they 400 right now? So they will have had to win, 8 of 10, something like that, to get to that point. And so to me, that will be my moment to sort of take a deep breath and hit reset and say, all right, let's forget everything that's happened and let's go forward. But you're going to have to get to a couple of games over 500 in my mind, before you start seriously looking at the wild card standings. Certainly before you start looking at the NL West standings, with the way the Giants and the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers are all up there. So that's sort of what it is for me. So it's like, all right, first thing, let's get to 500. They keep bumping their heads on that number. Let's get to 500. Now let's get a couple of games above 500. And now let's start looking at the standings and get like a better sense of where everything is at.
Talking to Jesse Ackler, voice of the Padres. And Jesse, you mentioned Rich Hill. I imagine you're going to really sink your teeth into tonight's pitching matchup. Yu Darvish, Rich Hill, a combined 79 years old. And while Yu Darvish has only been pitching in the United States since 25, he pitched for many, many years in Japan before that. You're not going to get two more crafty, experienced veterans on the mound in one baseball game, maybe all season long.
No, it's neat. Two guys who really understand themselves perfectly. Hill goes about it very differently than Darvish, obviously at a different point in his career than Darvish. But as you said, as crafty as they come. He's the new Jamie Moyer. We had Jamie Moyer for all those years, and now it kind of feels like Rich Hill has stepped into those shoes. And I love guys like that in baseball. I love it. It's like, really, this guy's still pitching? And then he goes out there and he can give you 5 good innings more often than not. What I'm most looking forward to is the possibility of a Nelson Cruz, Rich Hill showdown because, combined age is going to be 80-something, which just tickles me in a really big way. So, that's what I'm hoping for and looking forward to. And, I'd love diving into the starting pitching matchup. I think, baseball still, even in today's era, is at its best when you have two interesting starting pitchers going head to head. That sort of sets the tone for the game on the field. It sort of sets the tone, I think, for the broadcast conversationally. And there's certainly plenty to talk about with these two guys.
I'm excited. I was like a lunatic last night walking around the house with no Padres baseball. As much as it hurts sometimes to watch, I found myself missing it greatly. And I know I always do when the season ends. And excited to tune in tonight. I mean, again, this is a guy in Rich Hill. I know he's crafty. I know he's been around the league a long time, but right-handers pretty much hit him very, very well. Left-handers still about 250. So nothing major. I would imagine, you load it up with right-handers and this is a guy though, you need to impose your will on. Jesse, you've been saying that a lot about some of the guys that the Padres have gone up against, and it just hasn't seemed to happen yet.
I'm at the point where like style points don't interest me.
Yeah.
And you can say, oh, they got to beat up on this guy and they got to really mash and da 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 da. I don't care. Just like win the game. That's sort of where my head is at right now.
Yeah, find a way to win.
We saw those two blowout wins on Thursday and Friday against the Giants and the Nationals. What did that mean for the rest of the weekend? Like, just win games right now. That's like all I care about. If it's ugly, that's fine. If you're thinking to yourself, how did we only score 2 runs tonight? That's fine as long as they win. Obviously, I would prefer a couple like, comfortable 6-2 victories or something like that. But like right now, they got to stack some wins together. So I don't care who the opposing pitcher is. I don't care how long he's been around. I don't care what lefties hit against him in the sense of like, run score. Just win the game. Win the game, no matter what that looks like. That's all we should be cared about right now.
Do you think, though, it's important for them at some point to win a freaking extra inning game or a game? We had the numbers yesterday. Their record after 6 innings is like atrocious.
Trailing
like
after 6 innings.
It's like 3-34 or something just ridiculous. Is it important in your mind to get over some of those hurdles that we've seen all season?
Probably. It does seem like when they fall behind early, as you said, with those numbers, there's not a lot of comeback wins in there. So, yeah, there's probably an element of like, all right, we can do this. That needs to take place. But I mean, like all these guys have been on teams that have had success in those situations. Yep. But, I do think there's something to that. Now the reality is I think the extra inning struggles, and you could probably tie this into all those numbers, have as much to do with hitting, in general as it does with anything else. They just haven't hit. They're not hitting with runners in scoring position. What happens when you get to the 10th inning? There's a guy in scoring position automatically. Yep. So, once they start hitting better, I think in general, they'll start hitting better with runners in scoring position, which will make coming from behind more realistic, which will make winning an extra inning game a little bit more easy. So, I think, again, let's not get too far ahead of like, oh, they're going to have to win some extra innings. They are, obviously. But I think the first thing that has to happen is they just have to start hitting better. And then all that other stuff I think kind of clicks into place.
Jesse plays the incorporator each week for us, has to incorporate a strange vocabulary word into that evening's broadcast. Woodsy, you are up this week for the incorporator.
I didn't even know how to pronounce it, so I didn't want to butcher it. So I had Paulie loaded in the old machine here.
Jackanapes.
Jackanapes has no business in a
Jackanapes
in a baseball
Definition?
broadcast. It is a mischievous child, would be described with this word. I've got two jackanapes at home.
You
Two
certainly
little
do.
turd jackanapes at my house right now. Jackanapes.
Is that like an archaic word that's like extinct, or it's still used? I've never heard.
I believe
Well,
that
it's certainly not used much. I'll tell you that.
No,
it's about to be. We're about to start using it in my house.
Oh, we can always revive some of these words if we
Yeah,
need
we're
to.
revitalizing jackanapes. Okay, I like it.
I had to look
Yeah.
it up. Nelson Cruz against Rich Hill career. Just 9 at bats. Of course, they've been in separate leagues for most of that time. 3 for 9, over 2 decades basically, but they haven't faced each other that much. But I am looking forward to it as well tonight, Jesse. Thank you very much.
You got it, guys. Have fun. Hang in there, everybody.
Thank you, buddy.
Jesse Agler, voice of the Padres on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
Jesse's got the right attitude. When we brought up the healer, he said, at this point, why not? Try anything at this point. So I do feel
Good mindset to have.
It is a good mindset, Paulie. I feel a little bit vindicated when somebody as logical and smart as Jesse Agler, tends to agree that at this point, try it all.
Well, in that I doubt it can do any harm
Correct.
to the Padres.
It's not going to do any
will-
harm.
I will acknowledge that. Very unlikely that we can do any more harm than they've done to themselves.
How do you get worse, as I said
so
earlier?
far this season? that seems clear. That I mean, I think Jesse made a lot of sense as well.
You've never been a jackanape, have you?
I was not a jackanape
Never.
as a child.
I've been a
Neither was
jackanape.
Jack.
Jackanape.
Jack was not a jackanape either. It's not
Is Graham more of a
mischievous.
jackanape?
No,
than-
no, neither of my children jackanapes.
What's that?
Yours,
What's that
yeah, I can
like?
see that.
Oh, dude. Jackanapes, both of them. I'm going to use it all the time. All the
What a
time.
jackanape.
He's such a jackanape, both of them. It's a fun word to say. Jackanape. Has no business. You have no business saying that in the broadcast.
All right, if you're listening to Jesse, I love listening for it. Seeing if he can slip it past Tony without a what? I mean, I it's surprising how rarely Tony Gwynn Jr. goes, what? Because I would be doing that if I was in the booth. We'll play it back tomorrow morning, 6:20, 8:20. Got an hour left. Paulie's got a Reindl Report, College World Series final last night, and more coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. All right, final hour of Ben and Woods, 9 a.m. here on 97.3 The Fan, going until 10 o'clock each day. Our thanks again to Jesse Agler, voice of the Padres. They certainly have a good pitching lineup for this series against the Pirates. Yu Darvish against Rich Hill today at 4:05. 3:05 pregame show for Sam Levitt. Same time tomorrow, Blake Snell, one of the hottest pitchers in baseball. Basically, if Blake Snell has a decent start tomorrow, got to figure he's your National League Pitcher of the Month for June. His numbers have been
outstanding,
insane. I don't think anyone can match what Blake Snell has done. He'll go up against Mitch Keller. And then a very early start on Thursday with Joe Musgrove coming off a win. He will take on Luis Ortiz. That is 9:35. Set your alarms early. Well, that's easy. For all of you who are listening right now, you'll be halfway through Sammy's pregame show at this point on Thursday for the series finale against the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Try to put Blake Snell's last start at Pittsburgh out of your mind. Maybe his worst as a Padre.
I've forgotten it already.
Good. Yeah,
you're going to remind me of when it was? Okay, then
not
you don't
even
have to
tell you when it was or what happened or anything. Joe has pitched pretty well there as well. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of it, man. It's kind of it.
I'm not a believer in a lot of things, as you found out this morning. Not even a big believer in not pitching well in certain venues. I think teams, obviously,
do you
matchups,
believe in anything?
Yeah, what do you believe?
Matchups can give guys problems, and if you don't do well against certain players and they play on a team that plays in a certain ballpark, you can seem like you don't pitch well in that ballpark. Yeah, they got 4 guys in their lineup that give me trouble.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I don't pitch well at PNC Park or Oracle Park or wherever. But I don't necessarily think the environment for a pitcher has a huge difference. Maybe there's a couple of mounds that are slightly different that you feel just a little more uncomfortable on, but I've seen guys have bad numbers at a park and then they shove the next time they're there because they're better that particular start. Just because you were bad one time doesn't mean you're going to be bad again on the mound at PNC Park.
Yeah, he was he had some belly issues that day well. He had some intestinal problems, not intestinal fortitude, but it's some intestinal problems, and that was just the worst. I remember watching that game going, oh, wow, that was a tough one. So, but he's so locked in right now. Need all those guys all those guys have done the job, at one point or the other this year, at one point or another this year. Offense needs to pick them up in this series, especially.
Padres are hoping that Michael Wacha will be ready to make his next scheduled start. That would be Friday in Cincinnati. He did throw his side session, reported feeling the shoulder felt better. They don't think it's hurt. They just shoulder fatigue. And, we're not as familiar with Michael Wacha, having not followed him as closely throughout his career, but apparently this has been fairly on and off for him. But, Michael Wacha, solid pitcher, but does have these points where he just seems to kind of tired or the arm kind of gets hurt and misses some time. So the Padres trying to be proactive and skipped his last start. That's why we saw Matt Waldron over the weekend, but it's looking good that Michael Wacha should return, hopefully to make his last couple of starts before the All-Star break.
That's a bummer because he was beyond cruising.
But again,
too.
Matt Waldron didn't hurt
give up 2
starting
runs.
in that game either.
Give up 2 runs.
It's hard to imagine Michael Wacha could have been that much better.
Yeah, no kidding.
In that game.
No
the
kidding.
Padres didn't score, so they weren't gonna do it for Michael Wacha, didn't do it for Matt Waldron, didn't make a huge amount of difference in that one.
Yep.
All right, Paulie's ready. Let's get some headlines. And around the report in this hour on 97.3 The Fan, brought to you by Smart and Final. Smart and Final's got your whole 4th of July cookout, from snacks to burgers to drinks and more, at prices that are worth celebrating. Get it all in one trip, and that's it. Oh, I forgot to tell Jesse we won't talk to him next Tuesday because we'll be off. It's
That's right.
The 4th of July next Tuesday, Independence Day.
Catch him on Wednesday instead.
Maybe we can bump him to Wednesday.
Yeah, I bet he will.
Have him on at the same time as Adam Jones. Just have a big old party.
Amazing.
It's a great idea. All right, gentlemen, we will start with the College World Series concluded last night, and LSU. What a 24 hours for them. They gave up the most runs in College World Series history on Sunday. We talked about that yesterday, and then they turned it around and they won their 7th title yesterday, just absolutely destroying Florida 18-4 last night in the deciding game 3.
It is
Did you watch much of it?
I did. I watched it from the get-go, and then I had to bail after a while. It just got out of control. I did, you do I put myself in the kids' spots, and then of course in their, they keep cutting to their parents, and I told Hannah, I said, we're not ready for, because my kid loves baseball so much, and he's going to play and until he doesn't, and I just said, man, watching your kid at that level has got to be excruciating in that game. It's just so. I was watching the parents and their head in their hands at times. Can't watch, can't look. I've told you, I've seen Trevor Hoffman watching his kid before, walking down the fence, and not because he didn't want to be bothered by people. He couldn't stand it. He can't see. He's like, I hate this more than anything. When a ball gets hit his way, I'm a nervous wreck that he's going to boot it. It's a whole different thing when you watch it like that. That's how I watched it last night. And was that good baseball? Is that good baseball?
I don't know. The college game is different.
It's so different.
For sure.
If you don't overthink it and just enjoy it for what it is, it's pretty great. I, of course, overthought it incredibly. And I was like, man, this is bad. This is bad baseball.
I've never understood why they use the aluminum bats in college.
Cost.
Yeah.
It's cost.
Breaking
cost
bats is, because the guys throw plenty hard enough to break a ton of bats.
Cats out there throwing 99.
And, you're going a couple $100 each bat.
College
a lot of college
cost
programs
they should
couldn't
figure that
afford
out.
that.
I feel like it's a different game.
Oh yeah, well you got
guys that are playing in these college games that are hoping to in a few months.
I know
that
transition is gnarly, but
now I know they've reduced what do they call it, the coefficient of impact on aluminum bats over the years. Couldn't they just deaden aluminum bats to make them basically the equivalent of wooden bats, or would that never work?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't swung a metal bat, you guys, in ages, but I'll tell you, man, the way that those guys throw now, and everybody's worried. Everyone's trying to launch the baseball as much as they can. It's amazing to me the more people aren't carried out on stretchers as hard as they hit it.
We talked a lot about Paul Skeens, the fireballing pitcher for LSU, whether they throw him on 3 days rest. Never needed him. They sent him out to the bullpen around the 6th or 7th inning, but
did he never get in?
Before he warmed up, they were so ahead that they never even needed to use him. I didn't realize, I guess because we don't watch a ton of college baseball, that there were a couple other guys. The top 3 projected picks in the draft coming up, all in that game. Dylan Cruz, the outfielder for the Tigers, and Wyatt Langford, who hit that home run in the first inning for Florida, and Skeens. A lot of people have them going 1, 2, 3 in any certain order in the MLB draft next month, with the Pirates, the Nationals, and the Tigers holding the first 3 picks in the draft coming up.
LSU just got their asses kicked on Sunday, and they were facing a 2-0 deficit yesterday. And Dylan Cruz, he just mentioned, he said after the game, we got punched in the mouths yesterday, Sunday. That's the beauty of baseball. You wake up in the morning, you do it all over again. We woke up today, and you could see on everybody's faces that we were ready to go. Nobody in the country was going to beat us today. And they won.
Yeah, they absolutely rolled. Just again, I talked about it maybe before the show. I don't know if I mentioned it on the air or not, but the national championship game in football was a joke, 65-7, Georgia over TCU. And then the NCAA basketball, this is probably the closest to the bunch, actually. Aztecs losing to UConn by, what was the final?
I have it in my notes. Just in case we ever needed it. It was 95-76.
What?
76-59. Reverse that. Yep.
76-59. And then, of course, you had this debacle last night too, which, I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But you like to see
at least it went to 3 games.
Yeah, it went to 3, absolutely. But it's it's like, all right, this is the best. It's such a bummer when that happens. Like in the Stanley Cup, the last game was.
It's nice to see a team. I mean, LSU fell behind 2-0 and then came back and won. You know how many times the Padres have done that this season? I think twice.
Yeah.
It's not like 2-0 should be an insurmountable deficit to overcome. It certainly wasn't for LSU yesterday.
All right. In the NFL, Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, he says that an NFL source told him that the New York Jets are bracing to be forced onto Hard Knocks this summer. They are one of 4 teams that meet all of the criteria, not having a new head coach, not reaching a playoff berth in the last 2 seasons, and not being on the show in the past decade. So it could be the Jets. The other teams are the Bears, the Saints, and the Washington Commanders.
Well,
I think that's an easy call if you're
obviously, if they
HBO.
get their choice, the Aaron Rodgers story makes that the most compelling pick. I've never understood these rules that they created. I get maybe the new coach thing. You got a new coach and you're installing a bunch of different systems and stuff. The cameras are the cameras are never probably comfortable for the team in training camp, but if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. The whole, if you make the playoffs, you get a get out of jail free card for Hard Knocks. Why does that make sense? Wouldn't you want to feature your good
Should be
teams,
the
your
more
playoff teams?
interesting teams? Yeah.
That's what
Should
I
they just
thought.
spin a wheel?
Yeah, I think so.
That like do a draft, like a lottery, the ping pong.
I mean, yeah,
balls?
if you were just on 2 years ago, then get an exemption. You
Yeah.
lived through it, but otherwise,
you lose your ping pong ball.
Otherwise, I think everyone should be fair game, and for the viewers, they should pick the most interesting scenario. Now, the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, pretty darn interesting scenario.
I was gonna say, I
for
haven't
training
watched
camp.
the last couple of years, I think, of Hard Knocks. Probably been a couple of years, but does this do anything for you? If that were to be the case, that it is the Jets.
Probably, yeah.
Interested in that?
I can't think of what would be the worst team out of the ones you named. The Bears,
The Jets, the Bears, the Saints, the Commanders.
the Saints,
Saints are pretty boring. They're just whatever.
the Commander. Yeah,
Commanders in the process of being sold.
Right.
Maybe there's something interesting.
Nobody
there,
would care about the
actually.
on-field stuff, but
No.
there could be some behind-the-scenes drama. Maybe.
not that interested.
I don't really even. I mean, is that a reward in any sense to
No.
go on to Hard Knocks?
No,
It's
they all
it's
look at it as a
punishment.
punishment.
Oh well, then I think the Commanders should do it.
yeah,
for
that's
sure.
true. Good call.
If there's any like rewards, for
Chargers
them.
every year.
Yeah, right.
Just
Right.
keep punishing them.
All right, and finally, got a story here about a janitor who destroyed decades of research when he unplugged a freezer because the beeping was annoying him.
No.
Yeah, a cleaning company is being sued because of this janitor.
They weren't
So-
keeping Ted Williams in that freezer, were they?
Jesus God, he has family here.
He has a freeway named after him.
Yeah.
He's in the Padres Hall of Fame, for God's sake. So there's a lab in upstate New York. It's called the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute.
RPI. Yep.
Old RPI, and they are suing this cleaning company because a couple of years ago, the janitor who was working there ruined decades of research. They had a extremely cold freezer that was holding cell cultures, samples, and other research elements, and the freezer was making a beeping sound. In fact, there were signs explaining that this beeping is normal. Here's how you can mute it.
Oh, buddy.
But yeah, old buddy here found the beeping to be, quote, annoying. So he just unplugged the freezer.
This is 1,000% something I would.
It caused the temperature of the freezer to slowly rise from minus 112 degrees Fahrenheit to minus 25.6.
You idiot.
Which wiped out 25 years of research. In the lawsuit, the lab says that it caused more than $1 million in damages.
Oh no.
And,
The moral
we
to the
wait to
story:
see.
Oh no.
don't make a freezer that beeps.
Yeah, that's true.
I
also.
really, I mean, that was dumb to begin with.
I gotta say, I thought of Woods when I read that.
The excess noise thing in me is ask my wife, bro. I have a neighbor every Saturday, right when the kids go down, which is about 1, this is my time. I'm gonna take a nice little Saturday nap. Without fail. 103, the leaf blower in the backyard.
Some of the
Outside the
quieter
window.
electric ones are
No,
almost
oh
as
my
bad as
God.
the gas-powered ones.
And I'm like, oh my God, every Saturday, and it's the same time.
Let's stop taking naps at that time.
And I'm like, just when my kids sleep, I sleep when my kids sleep. I read that in a baby book. I followed it to the letter of the law. When they sleep, you sleep. My wife hates it so much. I'm like, sorry, it's my time. I lay there and I'm like, and it goes on for a good solid 50 minutes. 50. I'm like, what are you blowing back there? What could you possibly be blowing for 50
Not New
minutes?
England in fall.
Right,
Right.
right. What are you, pine needles back there? You'll be fine. Oh my God. It's clockwork. It's clockwork every Saturday.
Well, you know what? When there is a noise that's annoying you, you will do anything to make it stop.
Anything.
Sometimes,
anything,
including pulling the plug.
Yeah. If
on
I
a
could
very
pull the plug
pricey
on
freezer.
my neighbor's leaf blower, I would. This is unbelievable. Every Saturday, 1:00.
Oh man!
All right, thank you, Paul.
It's our Reindl report. We got some time for some phone calls in our last couple of segments. 833-288-0973. You got to get by our screener, Jack, to get on the air to talk some Padres baseball, energies, whatever is on your mind.
Yeah, what's on your heart?
You can share it with us. Coming up next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Seeing the Union Tribune's Kevin Acey talking Padres baseball and MLB Network on the screen above Woods' head
with Brian Kenny.
Brian Kenny. Some of the topics have included what's wrong with Manny Machado and are the Padres feeling the weight of their payroll? You know, I think the weight of the payroll to me shouldn't make a difference at all, but the Mets with the number one payroll in baseball are struggling.
They're dying.
The Yankees are actually not doing that badly. They're playing in a tough division. I think they're like 7 or 8 games above 500 and treading water without Aaron Judge, who's been hurt. He's got a ligament tear.
Yeah,
he's going to be out for a while. But they've done okay without him. Their fans are panicked. I keep seeing Brian Cashman keep preaching patience and going like, "Hey guys, it's not a bad team. We're doing okay. Yeah, we haven't played our best yet, but give us some time." He keeps saying that for the Yankees. So Yankees fans certainly aren't happy with the second payroll team in baseball, and obviously the Padres with the third highest payroll have been a major disappointment as well.
Yeah, it's basically a race for the biggest turd between the Mets and the Padres right now. 37-41 for the Pods, 35-43 for the Mets. They are 16 games out in their division. Holy smokes. Behind, the Braves are a juggernaut. No, the Marlins are 9 games above 500.
Well, what would it take? What would it take for the Mets to catch the Braves before the end of the season? Can someone figure that out? Because they're the 16 games back. We're almost at the midway point of the year.
Probably a pretty easy thing, I would imagine.
Would it be possible for them to catch them?
If they ever did 55-30, the Braves would have to go 40-45 just for the Mets to match the Braves.
Right.
So, in other words, if the Braves go 40-45 over their last 85 games, that makes them 90-72. To match that, the Mets would have to go 50-35.
Okay.
And then actually do better than that, really one more win, 51-34, because of the fact, or 56-34, because of the fact that the
He's confusing himself.
And is that correct? Wrong.
You tell me.
56 and let's see, 55. What did I say the Mets are? The Mets right now, let's figure this out properly. They're 7 under 500. I think they're 34, and I think they're 41. So to get the 90 wins, they got to go 56.
Carry the one.
Roughly, is it 31?
Yeah.
So for the Braves to do worse than that, the Braves got to go. I know the Braves got to go 40-45 in their 85 games to go to get the 90, because the Braves right now have 55 wins.
51 wins.
The Braves have 50 wins. So 40-45 gets them the 90. The Mets are 35-42. So to get to, so that's 55 to get the 90 from 35. 42. They got to go 55-30. So to beat the Braves out, if they went 40-45, the Mets would have to go 56-29, because the Braves right now have beaten the Mets 5 out of 6 in that tiebreaker. The Mets aren't going 56-29.
That's just one of my favorite.
I'm glad Mad Dog cleared that all up, because there was some confusion about what it takes for a team to make up a 16-game deficit in the division.
I got that entire time I was just Zach Galifianakis from The Hangover.
Yeah,
with all the numbers. He's like
doing
them, trying to count.
I mean, you could
cards.
just say the Mets need to win 16 more games than the Braves do the rest of the season.
Yep.
Just leave it at that. That's pretty hard to do over one half of a season.
Holy cow. Holy cow. That was really, really special. I love the AL Central. Your division leaders, 40-40, the Minnesota
Padres
Twins.
would be 2 games out of first place if they were playing in the NL Central. That would be a nice place to be.
Oh, my God. Just brilliant, brilliant, brilliant stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's not like the West isn't tough, too. Arizona, San Francisco, L.A., but yeah, the Padres have really dug themselves quite a hole, Benny. Quite a hole indeed. 4 games below 500. I mean, 500 just seems like such a watermark this team needs to get to, and they get close, and then they just stumble. And you beat the Nationals. You beat the Nationals the other day, and you cannot lose 2 straight to the Nationals.
I mean, the
at home.
target. So going into the National Series, we actually heard, Xander Bogaerts
the
and a couple
10-5.
of 10-5 was their target. That would have put them 2 games above 500 at the All-Star break, I believe.
Yep.
Now they're 1-2 in the first 3 of those. So now, at the risk of sounding like Mad Dog, they need to go 9-3 to hit that 10-5 target. That's winning 3 out of every 4 games until the All-Star break. They need to go 8-4 just to get to 500 at the All-Star break.
You're mad dogging me a little bit.
I'm not
just
going to
a
do
tiny,
any more.
tiny little bit.
The math is done on what the Padres need to do until the All-Star break
All right.
at this point.
Anybody want to talk Padres? You can call us 833-288-0973. Get it off your chest. We've covered a bevy of topics today. We've not brought up any trades again. We did that yesterday. I don't really want to revisit trade talk. I'd like to figure out how to win, one game. Let's win tonight against Pittsburgh. Again, you should be able to handle Dick Mountain, Rich Hill. He's very beatable pitcher, but I've seen that before.
I will only say on the trade topic that as long as Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts remain members of the Padres beyond the trade deadline. And I think Juan Soto probably will as well, but that at least is something that could be discussed. There's still the potential for this to be a very good team. I mean,
We've heard that.
Most teams don't have that starting point of potential that the Padres have. They haven't lived up to it, clearly, but it still remains in there. We know they can be very good. So no matter what the Padres do at the deadline, even if they raise the biggest white flag you've ever seen and trade away Josh Hader and trade away Blake Snell and trade away Juan Soto even, it's not as though they're left with absolutely zero in the cupboard. I heard people talking about a fire sale.
Tell that to the guys in the clubhouse, though, that you trade away one of your best pitchers and your closer.
You made a great point, though, when we were off the air earlier. Last season, the Padres got the demoralizing news that Fernando Tatis Jr., just as he's about to come back and inject what everyone thinks is a huge boost to a scuffling team in, August or so, all of a sudden is facing.
It was like August 2nd, we acquired Soto, and August 5th.
All of a sudden, you get the devastating news. He's
3 days
suspended. He's not coming back.
It galvanized the team, is what it did.
Yeah, so bad news essentially made them play better the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So you can't really predict what's going to happen.
You can if it's Snell, Hader, and Soto. You can kind of predict. That's more than just we're looking to the future, and that to me is fourth down and one. And you're calling in, the punt unit. That is a straight up punt.
Now it's more like 4th and 8,
or 4th and 5.
It's a punt for
It's
sure
a punt.
if they do that. Whether it's a smart punt, because some punts are smart. You don't always want to go for it on 4th down. If you really don't think you're going to make it, you got to play for field position. That's what the trade deadline really is. It's actually a good analogy. It's you're facing 4th down, and the question is it worth going for it here? If it's 4th and short, yeah, maybe you want to run one of your best plays and add players. Make a trade that helps your team. If you're facing 4th and 11 and you may try to, go for the end zone and all of a sudden you fail and now you're in a worse position than you were had you not gone for it and maybe traded away pieces at the deadline and added to your future. That's what it is at the trade deadline. You're facing 4th down. You got a decision to make. Yep. Which way do you go?
Yeah, some teams it's easy. Some teams it's really, really easy for. The path is clear. It's about finding a partner that can give you what you need. But in the Padres case, unless they start winning a lot more ball games than they lose, it's going to be very cloudy, Ben. And you're just not sure which way it's going to go. So I don't envy AJ Preller at all. I not in the slightest do I envy him right now. I saw he was trending yesterday. Somebody told me he was trending on Twitter. That's not a good thing for your GM to be trending on Twitter. So. Yeah, not the most comfortable pair of shoes to be in right now, I would imagine.
All right, if you're on hold, let's get to some phone calls coming up. 833-288-0973. The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moment you missed on 97.3 The Fan. You can see what you missed, click to listen on demand, get a guest, a feature, whatever you're looking for. You've got it covered on the free Odyssey app. Just search 97.3 The Fan. Tap earlier today to get started. Last segment, your calls coming up next with Ben Woods on 97.3 The Fan. So he started this program 3 hours and 38 minutes ago.
You mean 6 hours and 38?
And I was almost in foreplay beginning to tell the story of what I actually put on TV last night because it was such a dry day and I never really finished. But I made the argument that I think Ha-Seong Kim deserves to be an all-star because of how well he's played this season. His WAR, his B WAR is 11th in all of baseball.
Okay.
And F4 is 30th, but for a second baseman, he's providing a ton of value. Now, he's not going to get voted in. He's not one of the finalists. It's Luis Arias will probably be voted in, and Ozzy Albies is second, and he'll probably be a reserve. But you could add another second baseman to the roster if you wanted. And I think what he's done is very deserving of being an all-star this season to represent the San Diego Padres. I'm not saying he should be the only one, but I'm
who is our all-star right now?
Well, Tatis has to be there, right?
I would assume, but his numbers aren't.
Votes
world
don't matter
beaters.
anymore, right?
The Padres will not have anyone voted into the game.
Correct.
Players also get a vote. They may vote Tatis in.
The fact that Soto was slightly ahead of Tatis in outfield
Irrelevant
votes
now.
Doesn't
Irrelevant now.
Now it's what manager's choice and players.
It's players. A player vote will determine some of the reserves, and then the rest of the reserves will be determined by the manager.
I think Blake Snell's an obvious choice.
I think Juan Soto is a very obvious choice.
I mean, Juan Soto's very poor start keeps his numbers from looking just outrageously good like they could be. They're just kind of regular good for Juan Soto at this point.
He's got a 160 OPS plus.
They're very good.
That's really good.
Yeah, he's not at the top of the league.
That's with a terrible April.
He's behind Fernando Tatis Jr. in that as well. So if you're going to say Soto should be there, then Tatis in fewer games almost certainly deserves to be there. Now you're talking about multiple Padres position player all-stars, though, and that's always dicey for a team that's sitting in fourth place to give them multiple position player all-stars. So,
Waka is deserving.
Now, I just saw a piece in The Athletic from Levi Weaver who's making the argument that Elly De La Cruz of the Reds should be an all-star. He has only been in the league for 2 weeks, yet I'm amenable to that argument. Don't you want your most exciting and dynamic
100%.
players in that game? And it's hard to argue that even though he may not have proven it over a long period of time, at this snapshot moment, Elly De La Cruz is one of the most exciting players in baseball. Why not have him there as part of the game?
Yeah, he's not going to start or anything, but having him as part of the. I mean, 2 weeks though. I don't know. That's 2 weeks it feels not enough. As new school as I am or try to be, I don't know. I feel like 2 weeks. I've seen guys get
a lot
hot
of
for
guys
2
have
weeks.
really
They
had
have,
2 weeks.
They have.
They don't deserve to be an all-star just because he had it in the 2 weeks before the all-star game.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily qualify you for that trip to Seattle.
What's Levi's argument here?
So it's a mix up on The Athletic. Ken Rosenthal, Keith Law, Levi Weaver, a bunch of writers, and one of the things they were talking about was the All-Star game, and I believe it was Keith Law. It says he singles out Gunnar Henderson, a fine suggestion, blah 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 blah. But if spectacle is what we're leaning into, then there's one name I'd like to see added: Elly De La Cruz. Power, check. Speed, check.
He's 5 tools.
Electricity, double, triple check. Says De La Cruz has only played in 18 games, but his line of 315, 375, 562 with a 937 OPS has been a large part of the Reds surging to the top of the NL Central. He's a star, a spectacle, and if it means we don't get to see Manny Machado in an off year, so be it.
937 OPS, though, is not outrageously better than, Tatis. What's
I don't
his
care about
OPS
the
right now? Is
statistics in an all-star game. I really don't.
Well,
I care about
Soto's 927. I mean,
I care about who's good for the game, who's going to help grow the game, who's going to draw interest to the all-star game.
It is an exhibition. At this point, there's no.
It's for show.
We're not doing the.
It's for show. You should have the best showman out there. I think you can argue that Elly De La Cruz is already.
We're not doing the bit where it's for home field advantage or anything like that anymore. So if it's an exhibition, throw them out there. What do I care?
Josh Hader has a 1.26 ERA, and
I'd say Josh Hader would most certainly be there.
18 saves. I mean, hard to argue against him. I know they gave up that homer to Mookie Betts, and he walked in a winning run the other day with inherited runners, but Josh Hader's been outstanding by any metric for a closer. I mean, giving up less than 1 run and hit per inning all season long. And he's a name. I mean, he's an outstanding name. It's hard to see Josh Hader not being there representing the Padres. So,
I mean,
now
I don't
we're
know how
talking
things.
about
I don't know how
3 or
things will
4.
work out with the Padres rotation. Obviously, Waka could be an all-star. He's pitched really, really well all season long. Blake Snell has pitched really, really well for most of the season so far. I think you draw on the Seattle connection, and if the coaches or the players pay attention to that, which they do, it's an exhibition. I mean, if Snell's in line to throw around that day, again, he could pitch on Sunday. I don't know how it works out for the Padres, but if he's in line to pitch, I wouldn't be surprised if Blake Snell gets the start in his
Come on,
hometown.
he's not starting the game. For the love of God, he's not starting that game.
Why not? He's
Better.
the best pitcher in baseball right now.
I mean, for like 6 weeks, maybe.
That's a good amount of time.
It's not. It's a 3-month season. We played 3 months already. He's not.
He has been pretty much dominant for 2 of the 3 months.
For a month and a half, I'd say. I love Blake, but I don't think he's your All-Star game starter. I don't. Ben?
He's not the starter.
No.
I mean, you got to take into consideration the slow start as well. If it was still,
it's going to be Strider.
World Series home field advantage.
See, those are just guys.
Depends on the winner.
for the
And you're
All-Star
playing
game.
100% to win. Then yeah, I'm the manager. I want Blake Snell on my team. And on
I think
my
it's
roster.
purely. I'm purely saying this because it's starting in his hometown.
Emotional.
If the game was in Minnesota, he's not starting.
You think just because it's Seattle? Who's the manager?
It's a storyline. It's better than Spencer Strider. There's no storyline there.
Yeah, I mean, but you give the ball to the best starting pitcher in your league. I would say that where it also lines up, and they haven't thrown in the last couple days, whatever.
And that's always the wild card.
It's a wild card as well.
The guy pitches on Saturday and he's like, there's no way I'm going to pitch.
Yeah.
I don't even want to go on the trip. I'd rather just get some, 3 or 4 days off. You never know.
I mean, Stroman's got the most quality starts of anybody in the league, in the National League. Strikeouts is Strider. Yeah, it's probably going to be one of those guys, man. Honestly, I don't know.
Strider's been kind of scuffling a little bit lately.
He
I know they
didn't
did win
scuffle last
yesterday.
night.
Yeah, had a better start last night, but
Struck out 146 guys already. Holy smokes, man!
I mean, Waka should be an all-star, right?
That's what Paulie was
Yeah,
saying.
I mean,
yeah,
He's the best pitcher on the team.
I just can't. I mean, you can make a good argument for 5 Padres at least. There's no way the Padres deserve 5 All-Stars, though.
No,
as a 4th place team, which means
you're gonna
have to pick amongst those, and it'll probably be up to the manager to decide where he's basically has his holes that need to be filled.
They're gonna do something like give it to Kershaw for his last go around. Kershaw on the bump for the NL, probably something like that.
I tell you what, if I'm Major League Baseball, I want to make sure Fernando Tatis Jr. is there.
I do too, but we say that because we're Padres fans
No,
as well. We don't.
Growing up in Seattle, I was there last time the All-Star game was in Seattle. It was 2001. Just lined up that it was a wild season for the Mariners, but the whole storyline, that was Tony Gwynn's last All-Star game and Cal Ripken Jr.'s last All-Star game. And remember, A-Rod was playing shortstop. No, he was playing shortstop for the Rangers, and he waited. He called timeout right before the first pitch and brought Cal Ripken over from third base. It was pretty cool.
You got 2 Diamondbacks that both have 9 wins, and Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. You got Marcus Stroman with also 9 wins. Strider's at 9. Kershaw's at 9. I mean, there's a lot of good arms to choose from.
From teams that are having a heck of a lot more success
good.
than the Padres.
No doubt about it. It's such a bummer too, because the way the Padres season's gone this year, it's robbed me of some of my joy for the All-Star game and some of the pride I feel in my own players, because some of my own players have just been so up and down and back and forth. And there's a small boomer part of me that's like, take the break, reset it, get ready for a big second half, man.
There's a massive part of it.
That's a big part. Yeah, that's true.
Now, I think it'd be hypocritical if I answered negatively to this question, but I also kind of want to say no. What if they invite Fernando Tatis Jr. not only to be an all-star, but to participate in the home run derby?
No chance.
You don't want to see it, do you?
Not with a surgically repaired wrist
No, I don't
and a
either.
shoulder.
Is it good for the game of baseball? Is it good for his image to be out there for Major League Baseball, with showing his flash and style for the country on a night when that's the only thing they're watching?
I hope to God.
Absolutely, it is good.
I hope to God.
But I don't want to see that.
I don't either, man. I don't either. Call me selfish or whatever. It's not something I want to see.
Are we getting to the point where no one wants to see anyone
Have
from
fun.
their team in the home run derby
Yeah.
anymore?
I mean, Juan Soto's had a rough time since winning that. I mean, rough time with 160 OPS plus, but he gets a lot of walks too. He's had a rough go as far as, you
don't want him to defend his title,
No,
right?
God,
in the
no.
home run derby
No,
this year?
No.
Does the champion get an automatic invite back the next year? I
I'm
have
sure
no
they
idea.
do. I'm sure they would love it. But I want to pass on all of that.
All right, we got a couple of minutes left. We're going to check traffic and then wrap things up here on Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto Family, here's Vicky Pepper.
This report brought to you by Toyota of Poway. 5 South at La Costa, a crash in the carpool lane. You're on your brakes from Palomar Airport. It's the start of the summer sales event at Toyota of Poway. Right now, Toyota of Poway is stocked up on all new and pre-owned Toyotas with no added dealer markup on any new Toyotas in stock, excluding hybrids. Stop by today in the heart of San Diego, toyotaofpoway.com. I'm Vicky Pepper in for Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And this hour on The Fan is brought to you by South Norte Tequila Cocktail. Savor South Norte, Mexican-inspired premium tequila cocktails made with real tequila and real juice. Sip on a classic margarita, an authentic Paloma, or crack open a Matador or the Mexican Mule. Pick up yours at Stater Brothers, Ralph's, Costco, and more. I got some interesting series in baseball. Some of them started last night, others kicking off today around Major League Baseball. Tampa Bay Rays and the Arizona Diamondbacks, a couple of first-place teams squaring off in the desert.
Let's go Rays.
Starting tonight.
Always loved you. I'm watching scoreboards now, by the way, more than I used to.
A little bit more as you
Big
get
time.
later in the season.
Big time.
Twins, Braves got underway last night. Braves got the win, as you mentioned. Spencer Strider was on the mound. You got the Brewers and the Mets. Brewers won the first game yesterday, 2-1 over the reeling Mets. Now, the Brewers are actually, I always feel like, okay, I'm glad when the Mets lose. It's like, don't want them to get any momentum. Brewers are actually in between the Padres and a playoff spot. They actually went back ahead of the Reds to take the division lead with that win last night as well, with Cincinnati losing to Baltimore.
Yeah, the Mets have dug themselves quite a hole. You don't mind if they win a couple of these games against the Brewers. I was listening to Coach and Braden on the drive home, and Braden said, look, above the Padres, two pretty competent teams in the Phillies and the Brewers, not two teams you want to see catch fire. I mean, and they've done it. Brewers have done it really without a massive year from Corbin Burns, which I know everyone thought would be an A.J. Preller trade target at the deadline. I sure hope not the way he's thrown really this year. I was telling you guys last week, I look at BetQL every now and then. They do a 5-star bet on Corbin Burns damn near every start, and it never works out. Never ever. They really, really believe in him, but it has not worked out this
He's
season.
a good guy to keep believing in. See, the second you lose faith in Corbin
gets on a
Burns,
roll.
he's gonna get hot. So sometimes you do have to stick with those bets. Speaking of aces, the Giants are in Toronto. They're going against their old ace. Kevin Gossman is pitching against the Giants tonight as that series gets started north of the border. So got some interesting matchups this week. Sandy Alcantara on the mound for the Miami Marlins.
And he can't figure it out either.
He's another guy who you'd think you'd run with all the time, yet he hasn't figured it out. He's at the Fenway Park to face the Boston Red Sox in an interleague game tonight as well. So a bunch of stuff going on a full Major League Baseball schedule here on a Tuesday.
And, of course, the only one we care about, Padres, Pirates, 4:05, you said?
4:05,
Love
3:05
that.
pregame show with Sammy. So early start this afternoon, and then a really early start on Thursday, 9:35 first pitch, 8:35 a.m. pregame show. The earliest game of the year for your San Diego Padres.
And your earliest exit for Ben and Woods on Thursday.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, the
wow.
earliest exit of the
Is that
year.
true? Do
Yeah.
we actually?
That's it.
We
Gotta
leave
be.
after 2.5 hours on Thursday. Would have never crossed my mind if you hadn't brought that up, Woods.
Bet you that last 5 minutes is going to be terrible.
As always.
It always is.
Even on a short show.
Even on a short show.
Always tough to get through the last 5 minutes.
Going to be hard to top today.
We'll see. Do you think Bob Melvin will take my idea for the
doubt it.
lineup earlier of flipping Jake Cronenworth and Trent Grisham, or you just keep throwing Jake out there, batting 5th or 6th? I mean, today against a lefty would be a great time to do it. Trent's actually hit better against lefties this season. Jake struggled especially badly with runners on, and yet you keep batting him right there after, Manny, Bogarts, Tatis could all be on base, and he's right in the middle of the order.
Let's do a bet for tonight.
Yeah, let's do a bet for
All right.
tonight.
Go ahead.
It's time for you to set I set the last two. You got anything for me? Jack Sawinski, former Padres prospect.
Is he going to touch up
some-
Yu Darvish tonight?
For what? A home run?
All right. Over, under, hits.
Off of you, Darvish,
Yeah.
overall for the Pirates tonight. You set the line. You tell me.
All right. Sawinski, over, under 1.5 hits.
Sawinski over under against you. I'll put my faith in you, Darvish.
Okay.
I'll go under 1.5 hits for Jack Sawinski
Guess I have to take the over.
tonight. Yeah, that's how it works.
All right.
Put $10 on the line. Are there any other former Padres on this?
David Bednar.
David Bednar.
I feel
out
like
of the
Tucupita
bullpen.
Marcano is still there. I don't know that he's up, but I think he's still a Pirate.
Austin Hedges
Oh,
is
yes.
a Pittsburgh Pirates
We
catcher.
could actually-
Peter Marcano is still on the roster.
We could actually do a combined hits with Hedges and Sawinski and still set
Still
it at
keep it at
1.5, and you still take the under.
Not a former Padre, but San Diego's Connor Joe
Love Connor Joe.
is a member of the Pirates outfield as well. So there will be some familiar faces. Hedges is one of 3 catchers on the roster. I don't know how much he's actually playing. Is he regularly out there?
I don't think so. Not having a great season offensively.
I mean, their other 2
That's a
catchers
shocker.
are Henry Davis and Jason DeLay.
Henry Davis is brand new, one of their
Okay.
top prospects. They just called him up. Obviously, if Hedges was getting the job done there, they probably wouldn't have to call up Henry Davis. But I'm sure Austin, knowing how he is with young catchers, I'm sure he's welcomed him right into the fold and is happy to pass on any information that he has based on his history.
All right, I hope we're coming in tomorrow talking about a win.
Yeah, good energy.
Even if they do, we're not going to get caught up in, well, maybe this is the win that turns them around. We can't. I mean, how many weeks now do we have to go before we say the Padres have turned things around? They go 5-1 this week. I'm not even ready to say it at that point.
No kidding.
They're going to have to basically play good for almost a month before I say, okay, maybe this is the actual team that's finally shown up. So we'll live it with you day by day, though. That's what we do here on 97.3 The Fan. That brings us to the conclusion of our Tuesday program. Braden and Coach standing by. Good job by our intern and phone screener, Jack Higgins, out there. For Paul Reindl, our executive producer, Stephen Woods, and our new friend, Herman Petrick, the energy.
No, he's our friend. He's not your friend.
Not my friend. I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.